the pride.
すべての人に証明してみせる。お母さんもデラビガ家も決して屈しない。情報によれば彼らはここで消息を絶ったはず。これはついに現れたわね。
Welcome all Hyperlinkers join the 2025 Global Fest Tournament. This is the first global team competition for Etheria. We will select the top 8 teams and each team will have 3 players competing. This competition goes beyond the peak of individual skill and demands unique understanding of the game and meticulous strategic planning from the teams. The matches will be played in a best-of-5 single elimination format. Players can determine their own playing order. During the first 3 matches of the BO5, all players must participate at least once. On the first day of competition, 8 teams will compete for 4 spots in the semifinals. The next day, the 4 teams will continue to compete in a BO5 elimination match to determine the champion of the first Global Fest tournament. Which team will ultimately prevail and claim the final victory? Let's look forward to the grand opening of the 2025 Global Festivity Tournament.
如果我们 low 的连决赛都打不进的话，那么7夜将会进行为期3天、每天12小时的超长续航直播。白冕呢会随机在直播间抽观众送出若干的大月卡，而我光之瑞拉，我会直播拉开我的关注列表，并且对每一个我关注的 VTuber 进行一轮深情的表白。你们不要管我亏不亏，就问观众爱不爱看就可以了。大家好，我是来自群星会战队的光之瑞拉啊。另外2位代表国服出战的选手分别是大家都很熟悉的七叶和白冕意识白兔。各位外服的老登们，不要觉得服务器早开2个月自己就是欧 money 了。新的挑战者已然出现，群星的时代即将来临。群星会战胜一切，我们会将你们拖入完全未知的领域，让你们溺毙在未知的混沌之中。
Watch it closely and you will see why Korea has produced so many world-class pro gamers. We are here to prove it once again. You can look forward to it. Hello, I'm Storyteller. I'm the leader of the Korean team. Hi there. So I checked out the other teams' names like green tea or bread. Sounds delicious. I think of it as a nice meal prepared for the Korean team. Yeah. Sure, Etheria Restart was just released in Korea, but we will treat that like a small handicap, like having no napkins at the dinner table. You know what? There's a saying in Korea, games aren't about winning, they are about to making your opponent angry. So, careful, we are bad for your blood pressure.
My goal? Okay, if we don't win the whole thing, I will DIY my bird on blue. I'm Rick Bor, the captain of the French team Baguette. My team is a fully French team. Yes, we are going to crush them.
就是希望能打到最后这样。大家好，我是来自台服 RCS 战队的 Chucky。因为我们接触的时间都不长吧，但我们也是不容小觑啊，希望可以互相都可以打出很精彩的比赛。
Of course, our goal is to become a champion, and our team is hopefully become the world champion. I'm Akazan and from team Kesatria Merah Putih. I don't think they worth mentioning because the victory is ours.
There's only one goal. It's either you win or you are just a loser. So the goal is to be the champion, of course. I'm Sean B, and my team right here has two of the strongest players in the global server, which I'm very proud of. I think they're both top 10 at the moment on the ladder. So we are very ready for the tournament. I know that I think the other team for the global server has Brett, which is pretty much the strongest player in this entire game at the moment. But we're gonna show him that he probably just got lucky. Okay, he hasn't fought me yet, so maybe that's the problem.
Our tournament goal is to win this entire thing without dropping a single game. So we're gonna go 3-0 across every single match that we win. This is Tomias. We are part of Team Scarlet, and my team members are Chad and Brett. Very, very amazing players. You might know Brett as the previous Hyperlink winner champion. I think if we're against anyone other than the other Global 1 team, they should just pack up and go home right now without even playing the full best of 5, because it will be a waste of time for all of us.
今ね、いろんな環境を僕すでに、どんな風に環境になってるかっていうのをリサーチ結構やってるんですけれども、その中でまだね、結構誰も使ってないようなキャラクターに、戦法も組み合わせて、結構ね、サプライズボックスのような、戦法を出していけると思いますし、それを僕も、チームのリーダーなんで、メンバーたちにも展開して、誰から何が飛んでくるかわからないような状態で戦えればなと思ってます。その中でやっぱりチーム名にあるようなエンターテイメント性を持って優勝を取っていきますのでよろしくお願いします。はい、チームドキエンターテイメントの JJ です。よろしくお願いします。せっかくね、リリースしたての、初めてのオフィシャルな大会で結構気合入ってると思うんですけど、残念なことに出場時間が短くなってしまうと思うんですけれども、泣かないようにだけしてもらえればなと思ってます。はい、ずっと笑顔になってるの僕たちだけだと思うんで、はい、ハンカチ用意しといてください。
雨の夜のゴミと血の匂いが忘れられないのです。借金取りに追われ撃たれた銃弾。ヒドラ銀行30周年式典がオフリスで開催されています。この式典は全頭取の失踪後に銀行が再建された象徴です。しかしイーブナが主催したことで世間での憶測が飛び交っています。酒と夜の宴は権力者が熱狂するためのもの。宅の高貴な者たちは貧しい者の血を貪欲に絞り取る。銀行は本来弱者を食い物にするものじゃない。そしてお金も命の価値を測るものではありません。利益が銀行の唯一の目的であってはならないのです。もしマネージャー10隻が使命や誓いを忘れたというなら、私が思い出させてあげましょう。そしてこの手で彼らの野望の炎を凍らせてやります。
ほら、新船さんが来たぞ。
さすが新船さんね。こんな場でも全く緊張してないわ。
すごいな、あの場に立てるなんて。
なんだ、羨ましいのか。
彼女こそ 僕の中で最高のマネージャーだからね。いつか僕も彼女みたいになるんだ。
警備所の無料ドリンクマジでまずいな。あんたは下がってな、シビル。ここから先は私に任せな。面白い。これならどうだ。ベニルを倒すなんてやるじゃない。でも本番はこれから。かかってきなよ。
Looks like this is the place. Pretty good choice, actually. Is this all you got? Go to hell, traitor. This is the prize.
すべての人に証明してみせる。お母様、デラビガ家も決して屈しない。情報によれば彼らはここで消息を絶ったはず。これは
れたわね。今度こそ必ず仕留めてみせる。
Welcome all hyperlinkers join the 2025 Global Fest Tournament. This is the first global team competition for Etheria. We will select the top 8 teams and each team will have 3 players competing. This competition goes beyond the peak of individual skill and demands unique understanding of the game and meticulous strategic planning from the teams. The matches will be played in a best-of-5 single elimination format. Players can determine their own playing order. During the first 3 matches of the BO5, all players must participate at least once. On the first day of competition, 8 teams will compete for 4 spots in the semifinals. The next day, the 4 teams will continue to compete in a BO5 elimination match to determine the champion of the first Global Fest tournament. Which team will ultimately prevail and claim the final victory? Let's look forward to the grand opening of the 2025 Global Festivity Tournament.
如果我们 low 的连决赛都打不进的话，那么七夜将会进行为期3天、每天12小时的超长续航直播。白冕呢会随机在直播间抽观众送出若干的大月卡，而我光之瑞拉，我会直播拉开我的关注列表，并且对每一个我关注的 VTuber 进行一轮深情的表白。你们不要管我亏不亏，就问观众爱不爱看就可以了。大家好，我是来自群星会战队的光之瑞拉啊。另外2位代表国服出战的选手分别是大家都很熟悉的七叶和白冕一只白兔。各位外服的老登们，不要觉得服务器早开2个月自己就是欧 money 了。新的挑战者已然出现，群星的时代即将来临。群星会战胜一切，我们会将你们拖入完全未知的领域，让你们溺毙在未知的混沌之中。
Watch it closely and you will see why Korea has produced so many world-class pro gamers. We are here to prove it once again. You can look forward to it. Hello, I'm Storyteller. I'm the leader of the Korean team. Hi there. So I checked out the other teams' names like green tea or bread. Sounds delicious. I think of it as a nice meal prepared for the Korean team. Yeah. Sure, Etheria Restart was just released in Korea, but we will treat that like a small handicap, like having no napkins at the dinner table. You know what? There's a saying in Korea, games aren't about winning, they are about to making your opponent angry. So, careful, we are bad for your blood pressure.
My goal, okay, if we don't win the whole thing, I will DIY my bird on blue. I'm Rigbor, the captain of the French team Baguette. My team is a fully French team. Yes, we are going to crush them.
就是希望能打到最后这样。大家好，我是来自台服 RCS 战队的 Chucky。因为我们接触的时间都不长吧，但我们也是不容小觑啊，希望可以互相都可以打出很精彩的比赛。
Of course, our goal is to become a champion, and our team is hopefully become the world champion. I'm Akazan and from team Kesatria Merah Putih. I don't think they worth mentioning because the victory is ours.
There's only one goal. It's either you win or you are just a loser. So the goal is to be the champion, of course. I'm Shambi, and my team right here has 2 of the strongest players in the global server, which I'm very proud of. I think they're both top 10 at the moment on the ladder. So we are very ready for the tournament. I know that I think the other team for the global server has Brett, which is pretty much the strongest player in this entire game at the moment. But we're gonna show him that he probably just got lucky. Okay, he hasn't fought me yet, so maybe that's the problem.
Our tournament goal is to win this entire thing without dropping a single game. So we're gonna go 3-0 across every single match that we win. This is Tomias. We are part of Team Scarlet, and my team members are Chad and Brett. Very, very amazing players. You might know Brett as the previous Hyperlink winner champion. I think if we're against anyone other than the other Global 1 team, they should just pack up and go home right now without even playing the full best of 5, because it will be a waste of time for all of us.
今ね、いろんな環境を僕すでに、どんな風に環境になってるかっていうのをリサーチ結構やってるんですけれども、その中でまだね、結構誰も使ってないようなキャラクターに、戦法も組み合わせて、結構ね、サプライズボックスのような、戦法を出していけると思いますし、それを僕も、チームのリーダーなんで、メンバーたちにも展開して、誰から何が飛んでくるかわからないような状態で戦えればなと思ってます。その中でやっぱりチーム名にあるようなエンターテインメント性を持って優勝を取っていきますので、よろしくお願いします。はい、チームドキエンターテインメントの JJ です。よろしくお願いします。せっかくね、リリースしたての、初めてのオフィシャルな大会で結構気合入ってると思うんですけど、残念なことに出場時間が、短くなってしまうと思うんですけれども、泣かないようにだけしてもらえればなと思ってます。はい、ずっと笑顔になってるの僕たちだけだと思うんで、はい、ハンカチ用意しといてください。
雨の夜のゴミと血の匂いが忘れられないのです。借金取りに追われ撃たれた銃弾。イドラ銀行30周年式典がオフリスで開催されています。この式典は全頭取の失踪後に銀行が再建された象徴です。しかしイーブナが主催したことで世間での憶測が飛び交っています。酒と夜の宴は権力者が熱狂するためのもの。宅の高貴な者たちは貧しい者の血を貪欲に絞り取る。銀行は本来弱者を食い物にするものじゃない。そしてお金も命の価値を測るものではありません。利益が銀行の唯一の目的であってはならないのです。もしマネージャー10席が使命や誓いを忘れたというなら、私が思い出させてあげましょう。そしてこの手で彼らの野望の炎を凍らせてやります。
ほら、新船さんが来たぞ。
さすが新船さんね。こんな場でも全く緊張してないわ。すごいな、あの場に立てるなんて。
なんだ、羨ましいのか。
彼女こそ僕の中で最高のマネージャーだからね。いつか僕も彼女みたいになるんだ。
Welcome everyone to day 2 of the Global Fest Tournament 2025. I'm Sturby.
And I'm Shesiso.
And we are going to be your host for tonight. So we are extremely excited because today it's going to be the semi-finals and the finals of the Global Fest tournament. We will be finding our champion for this tournament, and I am super excited to see what we have in store.
Yeah, absolutely, because yesterday we saw some of the regions maybe not have the best of plans. We saw Ahoyan on Revelation, we saw Kakardi on Revelation, but actually from all of the servers that we have right now, they're playing so well. And the funny thing is, we still have a server that's relatively new in here, which is the Korea server, but also we have the Etheria is now globally launched. Watch the Global Fest tournament, support your favorite Hyperlink team, and start the celebration together with all of the players from all over the world. Enter the redemption code, as you see on the screen right now, which is GFT 2025, to claim the limited time prototypes of 3 Animus.
3 Animus prototypes, GFT 2025. That is the code. Make sure you key it in. Secure yourself some of those summons, guys. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the matchups. Now, I am super excited for these tournaments because we have 3 servers that have been relatively experienced in RTA and 1 server that is quite new to the scene. And in order to understand this, we have to first understand the format, all right? If everyone didn't pay attention yesterday, this is the format, guys. Best of 5, and today is the October 19th, so we'll be playing the semi-finals and the finals.
Yeah, to make it here, all of the teams had to be playing yesterday. But once again, if you weren't there yesterday to see the format, let's check this video that shows all about that.
Welcome all Hyperlinkers join the 2025 Global Fest Tournament. This is the first global team competition for Etheria. We will select the top 8 teams and each team will have 3 players competing. This competition goes beyond the peak of individual skill and demands unique understanding of the game and meticulous strategic planning from the teams. The matches will be played in a best-of-5 single elimination format. Players can determine their own playing order. During the first 3 matches of the BO5, all players must participate at least once. On the first day of competition, 8 teams will compete for 4 spots in the semifinals. The next day, the 4 teams will continue to compete in a BO5 elimination match to determine the champion of the first Global Fest tournament. Which team will ultimately prevail and claim the final victory? Let's look forward to the grand opening of the 2025 Global Festivity Tournament.
And there you have it. That is the format in case you guys missed it yesterday. And we can see that these are the teams, or were the teams, that competed yesterday for Day 2. And only 4 of them made it. And who are they, say Shizo?
So we still got Labor Life led by Jumpy himself, which is Global Team 1. We also still have the Fantasy Club in there, which is Global Team 2, led by Tamias. And we also still have the Hyderbank Korea, led by Storyteller. And then the final team, we have the Etheria EOS, and that is led by Udara. So those are the teams you see on the screen. These are the ways that they had to play to get here to stage. So first semi-final that we're looking at is Etheria EOS, the Asia server against Labor Life, which is Global Server 1. So right away, we see Sean B play once again.
Yeah, and this is going to be super interesting because we have the Asia server and the global server facing off, but both of them are relatively experienced, and you can see this is the timetable for today's matches. We got the Etheria EOS against Labels Life, Fantasy Club against Hyderbank, and one of these 2 players are going to get into the finals. If one of these 2 teams will make it and be crowned champion.
Yeah, and of course we also did our own predictions, and the own predictions is this time around we actually went for what do we expect to go for. Actually, our colleagues of the China or like the Chinese cast are also doing that, and they actually did the same thing that we did yesterday. They chose the opposite, but in this case both of us chose Labor Life to win the first one. Second one, I went for Fancy Club. You went for Hyderbank. You were very impressed by the Koreans, and even that much impressed that you named them all the way to champion.
Look, I'm one to risk it all, bet it all, and I thought that the Hyderbank was a good bet because what I saw yesterday from how they played, it was tremendous. Considering they are a new server, and we saw that the new servers, they, have some issues with choosing the right shell to put on units, but that is also because they will play as if they were playing month 1 like how we were. But Hyderbank, they did their homework, and because they did their homework, I want to put my bets, make sure that I can hopefully win big this time.
Yeah, it's all about the champion call adding in. Let's see who's going to win that. And I'm definitely very excited first for the first match as well, which in this case, we actually both chose Labor Life. We both chose the team of Jean V to make it all the way there. I would definitely say the 2 players that Jean V is surrounded by, very strong, very well-known players. But first, we're looking at the Etheria EOS, where we have Udara as team captain, Arkason, and we have the Sunkyu and Relic sitting over there.
And they played tremendous, don't get me wrong. They understand the meta, they've played RTA, they understand what the ladder is like for the Etheria restart. So we cannot count them up, and they are playing a relatively safe composition. Very, very well done to them. But with the Labels Life, again, we have top players playing over there. We have Bok, who is known for, playing very obscure playstyles and characters. And we have Ronnie Plays, who plays RTA almost every day. You see him streaming every day, and he's very high up there on the ladder. He's figured out the meta very, very well. Then we have the dark horse, Sean B, playing a completely different style. And I was talking to you earlier today. Sean B is one of those players, because you don't see him so much on ladder, and you don't really prepare for his playstyle. I don't know if you with this account that is brand new, did you prepare for his playstyle? I don't think so.
Well, the interesting thing is they could have checked the VOD of yesterday, and also you at home after this, of course, don't go there right now. Now first check this live stream, but if you want to see more Ethereum action, can definitely check out the VOD of yesterday. But besides that, that is also what these players should have been doing. They should have been checking out like, ooh, Jean-B went in with that Heinrich, the Plume, followed up by a lot of damage, a lot of CC, adding in the Nahor and all of those kind of units. Your pre-bans should be focusing on those kind of units. But then is the big question, Jean-B, do you have more units geared up? Can you bring a different kind of draft? Can you actually be coached by a Bok or a Ronnie to play as the meta is progressing as well, outside of just your own playstyle? And that is going to be very interesting in these kind of team-style formats.
And the counter rebuttal I have there is, even though you know what he's playing, do you have the characters built to counter that playstyle? I don't know if you have, because when you play in a tournament setting like this, you have to prepare for every single thing, but you want to make sure your meta core is built. And the meta core that you built, does it have the answers to the CC? That is the real question here. And from what we saw yesterday, no one knew what he was playing. It was a big surprise. And now that you know, did you prepare in advance?
Yeah, it's definitely also one of those things. Also, you have seen yesterday in which order the players came in. Are you expecting once again Jean-B to sitting in that third position, or are they maybe shaking that up? We do already see the first matchup that we have here today of Etheria EOS against Labels Live. We're gonna have Senki on the side of EOS, and we're gonna have Bok on the side of Labels Live.
I think that Bok went first last round. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bok went first. I think on the other side, I think we had Arkason going first, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but you know, Labels Live is still taking the very safe route, putting Bok in first, make sure that he secures that win with a very steady draft sense. You can see Heinrich is banned here. Okay, that is interesting. We have a Heinrich ban and a Doki Doki ban. First pick, Fushu into a Lilium.
I actually do really like those bans because those are actually the playstyles that are countering one another. If you go for a Heinrich ban, that also does mean that the enemy is probably playing on the style of like, oh, I actually wanted to go CC. But on the other side, we see the counter CC being pre-banned. And that is the Doki Doki right there. So definitely they're reading into each other's bans right there. We also have a Plume being set up, added in with that Tiamat that has shown so much strength yesterday. We were talking about it. A unit of the tournament, especially in the earlier matches, was absolutely Tiamat. Skill 1, so much damage. Transform, so much damage. Bramble stacks, ooh, so much damage.
And what I really liked here was Bok said, I'm going to take the Fushu, you can have the Plume. Probably setting up for a third pick Aya here, but Sankyu read that and went, I'm going to prepare for that Aya pick, and went with the Lilium because he wants to just gun down that Aya as soon as possible. And that also opened up the opportunity for Bok to pick up the Plume and the Tiamat, having that combo of Fushu and Tiamat there. But Sankyu is seeing, okay, now you are open to get CC'd here, so I'm going to pick up Mio and Obo.
And I'm absolutely loving the Aya over there on the Gigabyte this time around. Most of the time you see that on the Reaper as well, but we have a Linglo on the Reaper, so she's also going to be taking a lot of turns because she's going to be high resistance. There's so many debuffs on the enemy side. You will probably get resisted on one or two of them. Ooh, and we're gonna go for a full-on CC style. I'm curious to see what that's gonna work because this is the first Mia of the tournament thus far.
Yeah, and you can see that Bok has picked up the Linglo and Aya to answer the cleave with the Mio and Obo, and decided, okay, now I have these two. One of them is getting banned, but at least one of them is getting through. I'm really curious to see what Sankyu is going to ban here because those 4-5 is very, very pivotal to whether the success of Sankyu's draft is going to take place. And we can see the Linglo on Reaper steps getting banned. Now, funnily enough, you know, a Aya on Gigabyte is something that you don't really see very often. Every 3 turns, she is going to cut the turn meter bar by 35%, but you're not going to get that immediate Reaper steps push off whatever debuff that comes your way.
Okay, so let's see if he can get the full control of actually the turn order. Is looking very nice, where you don't really want to twin trick anything right now to move them faster. You want to have them in this turn order, whereas you kind of want the twin trick. I would say the Obo, that is the best one for the twin trick. But if you go for the Obo right now, you have to start off with an S2 and you can't really start off with a skill 3, which is a little bit awkward right here.
Yeah, it's definitely awkward. We can see the Fushu and the Plume. Very, very interesting. The Plume is also on Bowa, meaning that he wants a turn by hook or by crook. It's relatively slow, meaning that this Plume is on Bloodbath 100%.
Okay, so let's see. You have to go for skill 2 right now. And the skill 2, even if you have maximum accuracy compared to the resistance of your enemy, your freeze is still only 80%. So we're looking at the luck of the try to get those freezing. Can we get all of the freezes?
Oh, we do get like some important ones, but it got cleansed immediately. And that Aya is now going to push everyone forward. The Fushu, like we said earlier before, the Fushu, once she presses S3, that's when the game really starts.
Yeah, and the big question is, where's the actual damage gonna come from? The damage is all about the damage from the oboe. It's all about the dots. But if you first have to go through shields, dots are not doing that much work. It takes a lot longer time. Plus, we have Plume active on the game right now. She can start landing those quill stacks, which makes it where the CC comes that likes to cycle, likes to take a lot of turns, is gonna be taking slightly less turns.
What we have to really see is how long can Sankyu survive this onslaught, because now they have defense breaks all over, they have weakness everywhere. The Fushu has pressed, you know, the S3, the Moonlit Veil has gone up. The Mio really needs to land her S2. She has one more chance to do that because of the Codex of Magic. Can he land all the wounds? That's the real important question here. And how much lapping can he do on the Aya on Gigabyte?
Yeah, can we get at first all of the stunts? We're looking at a full team stun. No, actually the Fucho was not stunned over there, but also not landing too many of those damage over time.
Those dots didn't land as much, and because you didn't land as much, the Aya has a much higher chance to get you out of the stun here.
Yep.
And do we get the wounds? Ooh, we get the wounds, but the wounds has been cleansed off. All of them, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, actually only on the Tiamat we're landing a fair bit of debuffs, but anything else, we're not landing any debuffs whatsoever. So
yeah, and the wound is actually gone from the Tiamat, so this is dangerous here.
Yeah, this is super dangerous and super difficult to play. And also,
look at that Jackal Guard damage.
Yeah, the Jackal Guard on an armor break, it's already stacking up the damage. So from this position on, sure you can go for skill 3, sure you have to reset your skills, but it's just not doing enough over there. It's not having enough firepower to actually get through all of these things, especially not if you get countered by this Tiamat.
And you know, this is what we call a ticking time bomb. It's a matter of time, when is this Tiamat going to take a turn? Because she is definitely going to take one. It's whether is it going to be through the Ember proc, or just by a Bramble, or just a natural turn. We don't know. But it doesn't matter because this is what we call a ticking time bomb, right?
Yep, we have that skill 3 available. Also, we have the Codex of Magic, so we have double rotation on that skill 3. So we're gonna have a little bit longer of that. However, there is still a... Ooh, can we heal that? Yeah, we can actually heal that. And on the other side, we are stunned. So it is a very good timing to go for that AoE heal, because Mio is in desperate need of it.
And one thing to note is that Mio's S3 is also a buff extender and a cooldown reduction on your skills. So he's trying to really cycle that Mio S2, S3 and the Oboe S2, S3 as much as possible. But at the end of the day, you can see all that control, and they are still full health. And all because the Mio did not land her wounds, or she did land the wounds and the Aya just cleansed it off.
Also, we're looking at 7 stacks on this Tiamat. The moment the Tiamat gets that turn in, it's going to be so devastating. We're actually switching off the Twin Trick. We're going for the Twin Trick on that Mia, which is very low on HP, so it might be taken up pretty soon. We have the Transform sitting over there, but the Transform at least got stunned. But then again, all of these dots are dealing no damage whatsoever.
This is scary now, because if any time this Tiamat decides to proc Bramble, ooh, I can feel it. The Mio is definitely going down. We can tell that for sure. You already have 3 stacks of Curse Q, so the damage is going to be ramping up already on her. What else can he do here? This is just a tick. This is not looking good for Sankyu, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's very difficult, because also what you're facing off against is a Plume passive, it's an Aya passive, it's a Fucho on Moonlight Veil. There's so many good skills to counter DCC kind of styles.
Yeah, and every time you touch any unit, oh, he got the freeze off the S1 Twin Trick. He's just delaying the inevitable over here. And now he gets the S2 up. What's going to happen here?
S2 still once again.
And the Gigabyte cutting in, purifying the wound once again.
Yeah, and also getting a lot of attack bar gain sitting over there. In this case, we do not have that skill 3 available, and that is what Oboe likes to do the most. But we have been throwing off a good bit of skill 3s of the Oboe, but no damage has been dealt, and we're looking at another Moonlight Veil.
Another S3, another shield, another speed up. And you can see the Tiamat is creeping up the turn meter, but it's just trailing right behind the Lily. Through Plume's passive, there is a good chance it's going to cut. No, it did not. But next turn,
Ooh, we're trying
Next,
another
no,
freeze.
he tried to freeze. He didn't get the freeze. Here comes the S1.
4 HP Tiamat's definitely.
Oh my goodness! Almost taking the whole team.
Wow, that is the highest damage we have seen so far. But that was also the first time we have seen a full HP Tiamat skill 1. That was just simply so much damage. And yeah, playing this against the Plume is absolutely difficult because every turn you take, and you're trying to take as many turns, every turn you take, it's just attack bar gain, attack bar gain, more attack bar gain. And that is the victory for Label's life. Very well played by Bok once again.
Bok just playing it very, very safe, you know, less leaving up all the CC units because he just can go Ling on 4, Aya on 5, pick your poison, which one am I going to use to cleanse off all the debuffs and keep my tempo going. It's such a hard choice, I can't blame Sankyu for that, but he decided to play the CC into Bok, and Bok understands how to play that very well.
Well, it's also, we right away saw that with the Heinrich ban. Because if the Heinrich wasn't banned, Heinrich would have been on the field instead of that Mia. 100% sure.
Oh, 100%, yes.
And that's one of those things. If you see your core character already being banned, you maybe should be looking like, oh, he knows exactly what I was planning to do. Maybe that is already the time that you start pivoting from your draft on your very first pick.
Yeah, when you see a Heinrich pre-ban, you can always assume your opponent wants to play Bruiser because Heinrich does way too much for his skills. His S3, buff block, last words, S2, dispel, buff wound. That is so much damage. Last words, if you guys don't know, it increases your crit rate, your crit damage. And his exclusive passive that everyone forgets, any attack that Heinrich does dispels the buff. And if you are someone that plays a lot of buffs, Heinrich is the bane of your existence. So getting rid of that, making sure that you can always have your buffs, super important. You should have read that from the get-go and find a different strategy because playing CC as a full playstyle is so difficult right now with Aya, Reaper Steps, Linglore. It's insane.
Yeah, it's definitely very difficult. And as you mentioned, newly added in Aya, it's one of those things that you maybe could have tried like 2-3 weeks ago. But then Aya came into the game. It's like, oh, we have a very strong answer against it right now. Similar with the new shell, the Reaper Steps, as you mentioned. It is just so good the moment you get resisted on anything. And then it's also, once again, as we mentioned, the issue of Mio. Even if you have the maximum amount of accuracy, Mio is still capping out at a freeze at an 80%, which is not enough to freeze everything all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely not enough. And when you're trying to play something like this, you just need to stack debuffs and pray that you do not, you know, get the wrong debuffs cleansed off you.
Yeah, that's also one of those things. The moment the wrong debuffs are just sticking there, the moment all of your freezes are being removed, it's not gonna happen. Also, we have the 2 new players standing up and ready on Label's Live. We have the Ronaldo, also known as Ronnie, playing. On the other side, we have Relic playing. So let's see what these 2 gentlemen can bring to the table.
And Sean B is still being the last player to play, being the dark horse here. And he's going with, you know, what works. I'm going to stick to it until it doesn't work. Then I will find fixing to it. But right now, putting Bok first, then Ronnie has worked for him, and he's sticking to his guns.
Yeah, right again. We have, once again, the Doki being pre-banned, but this time it's by Label's Live being pre-banned. So could be one of those things where you just don't want to give the tempo or you want to be playing CC yourself. For the first few picks, we have a Fucho being locked in number 1. On the other side, we have a Holden and Tiamat being locked in. So I expect a Rahul coming from Relic.
And I think the Rahul is going to be on 3 because he's going to try and protect the Rahul. You have the Fushu, who is going to give you insane amount of healing, you know, coverage in your tempo, your speed up, your shield. And you know, we've said this so many times, the second she presses S3, it's an uphill battle. We get to see a Mizuki on 2, answering the Tiamat straight away, and a Rahu on 3 as I predicted, because protecting the Rahu means that you are always going to have to fight that Rahu for Ronnie, and he decided to pick the is he deciding to pick the Linglore on 3? Remember, this Linglore is on Gigabyte and a forced bulwark here.
Yeah, it's one of those forced bulwarks that is very strong, and also picking up that Veronica once again. So
that's a good combo.
Yeah, it's a very strong combo where you have a lot of good bruises around your guaranteed making it to the fight because it's once again on the slot 3. It cannot be banned by your opponent. So the Rahul and the Linglo are going to be guaranteed within this match. And that is also the nice thing. In a lot of comps, you kind of want to go 2 healers because if one is banned out, you have 0. If you lock it in on the 3, it's guaranteed in there. But on the other side, we have Linz once again. The Forgetfulness worked very well against Tiamat. But then again, it can be cleansed off by the Linglo. However, Will Sprayers do not activate. It's part of a passive.
Yeah, 100%. But you can see what Ronnie has picked. He has a nice little combo going on with the Tiamat, the Linglo, and the Veronica. That's like a core where you have your anchor being your Linglo, and your Veronica and your Tiamat can benefit off them. Either combo works, so if you ban either or, then you still have a combo going for you. Sanya finally being shown in this game. Finally.
Yeah, I think Sanya we didn't see her at all yesterday. Actually, he was hovering on Vice, and he did actually mention Vice as his favorite unit. It is written over here in our notes. I was very hyped to see a Vice. It mostly doesn't do that great because your activation rates aren't super good. But a Sanya in there, but ooh, are we going to go for a are we going to get a bit of Sean B flavor within Ronnie's draft right here?
He is preparing everyone for Sean B, the Nahor coming in on 5. That is an absolute monster. We all know what Nahor can do. 2 hits that can freeze your entire team, defense break, and just look at the top team here. Guys, did you guys notice this? The whole team is green.
Yeah, the whole team is green. So actually locking in a blue element on 5th when there is a full green team is very interesting to see.
That is... We can see the Fushu getting banned here, Holden getting banned. How is this going to play out? I'm really curious to see. We have 2 answers to Tiamat right here in the form of Mizuki and Silence.
Well, the big question is, can those units actually get their skills off? We do have a Bulwark sitting on the Selin, so Selins cannot right away be frozen. And that is actually the unit mainly that you want to freeze, because if that is not there, the Forgetfulness isn't going to be coming back.
I mean, he can choose to press S2 right now on the Selens. Full strip, buff block, and freezer right now, so she cannot take a turn. Therefore, you don't get the Aqua Shield, you don't get to press your S3 for a turn. You're going to survive, but what's happening? He decides to go, oh, and it got resisted. It got resisted. That is so sad.
The strong resist coming over there. I would have said, like, you do have 2 sides of immunity on your side as well. And that's
so much damage because of the element advantage from Rahu into the Nahor.
But also, right away, defense break on that skill 1. The Jackal Guard adding in right after that. That is close to like a 30% HP Nahor right away. So this is going to be a difficult style. This is probably one of those Shampies. Pick this, trust me. And now it's like, wait, that actually looks dangerous.
I've never seen Ronnie ever play a Nahor. You can see the Nahor is also level 1 when we first saw it. So this is such an interesting draft from Ronnie here. He's trying out something new, but he does have a core between Tiamat, Linglo, and Veronica here. Can that hold him off long enough so that Tiamat and Veronica can do their thing? That is something we have to take a look at.
Yeah, let's see if he wants to go for some taunts right now. I think taunts is what you're looking for. You could maybe go for skill 1, but it's also a big question. Which do you want to take out first? Sanya is hard to kill. Selins is probably full HP as well. Rahul and the Mizuki are dangerous to hit in the first place, so all of the targets are a little bit difficult to take out early on.
You know, just looking at this draft, I don't feel very confident in Ronnie at the moment because we can see Tiamat, Linglo, Nahor, they're all blue and they're all going into green units, which means you're going to have 30% less crit damage, you're going to have, 30% less activation rate to your effect accuracy, and your damage is also chipped by 15%.
Did you just notice how much damage the Rahul took? We had so much damage from the Rahul going on itself from that skill 3 because there was a shield from Selin stolen. Rahul just lost like 25 to 30% HP by doing his own skill 3. But let's see, how many freezes do we get right now? Do we get the freezes? We get all freezes, which is actually very
look at the amount of pops there.
But the amount of pops of just, okay, we are sitting on a defense break right now. Can you get a good Tiamat skill 1? Can you maybe take something out? It's gonna do so close to the damage to actually kill something off. You can actually kill something off right now. There is going to be a revive from this Sanya, but you can at least take a unit out for the moment.
And that will actually use up the Sanya's S3, which means she has to waste her S3 onto a revive unit, and then you have more, you've bought yourself some time. That's what we call playing with bought time, right?
Yep, ooh, trying to once again go for freezes, didn't get it over there. Definitely this skill 1 can take it out right now, should take it out. 600 damage, that's how little you were missing on that hit right there.
Yeah, because that Sanya was already about to move, you might as well get rid of it so that Sanya just has to bring her back. And that also removes all of his ref stacks, so he's starting back on 1. He's trying to control the ref stacks in that sense.
Yep, so let's see how much it can do. We always need... Ooh, we still have the Forgetfulness, so if you use it at this moment, can you get it landing on all of your opponent's side? I am not too sure if that landed, because there's so many debuffs sitting on all of these units right now. It is hard to see on the top side if everything landed, but it did actually land on the Tiamat, and that is the most important one.
Yes, 100%. Now the Tiamat is not going to get any bloodshed stacks. We are now playing a game of chicken. See who is going to initiate the first real damage here, because the Rahu is mostly the damage. You're never going to touch the Mizuki. You do not want to give her the retaliation, because when you start giving her that, it's a guaranteed counter attack.
Yeah, and we also... Ooh, we actually have the AoE heal, so we have to check if that AoE heal, if the skill 3, does he want to use the skill 3 to try to get anything off? He's using the S2, but we still have the Forgetfulness sitting. No, we actually have removed the Forgetfulness through the Will Prayers with this Tiamat.
Now we're back online, and look at the amount of will press. That's the power of Veronica and Lingluo. You're going to just keep spreading the will press for days. Your S2 is going to extend them, and that Mizuki and that Rahu is just sitting there waiting to get a turn, because there is really no real tempo here besides the Gigabyte on Sanya. And the other form of defense that he has here is actually through the Artisan, which is not about to proc because the S1 is going to hit. Okay, it's not that hard. That's okay. Sanya cuts in there, heals up a good amount. I think we are good here for a hot second.
Yeah, we also get back the shield. Shield is not an insane
and there
amount,
we go.
But this is a really good shield right there. Let's see how much this shield is looking at, because these Artisans, 18k shield.
And another one.
Much. Are we actually...
They don't overlap, but that's 12k.
12k shield left, and we actually take out the Nahor right away, so now all eyes are on the Tiamat. So Nahor did a very good job with that one good rotation of freeze, but actually rather than trying to dispel at the very first start what he tried to do, maybe he should have went for an S3 right away, because then also the Codec of Magic would have allowed him to do a S3 twice.
The pops all happening right now, but right now you can see, I think I understand why Ronnie picked up the Nahor, because this team is a defense scaling team. Nahor is a perma defense break unit, and trying to put defense break on them, although it is, you know, elemental disadvantage, it's still okay, but you're so squishy. You're way too squishy, and you're just going to die to a Rahu who decides to proc his assist.
Yeah, it's just a big question. Can you get rid of the Sanya? I mentioned it earlier. Who's your first target? Because if you kill anything else than the Sanya, Sanya will bring that back, and it's actually doing a really good job at it. So you bought yourself some time, but during that time, we already have the revive back at it again. Probably used on itself to give more HP, therefore more healing, and we're looking very lively on the bottom side team.
Defense up now, up on the Rahu. Rahu is going to deal a lot more damage. That also gave the Mizuki her retaliation. So the next S1 from the Tiamat is going to proc Mizuki right now, as we can see. He only has one button, that's all he can really press. Into a counter.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the ticks. Look at the ticks.
Yeah, every hit on that shield is still 2k. You're hitting AoE. You're losing 8k HP for just doing the skill yourself. And that is without even the counter, stealing some of those buffs. It definitely does help out, but the Tiamat HP is not looking that lively. Whereas on the other side, everything is like evenly in HP. And that is what you like to see against Tiamat, because if we're all slowly dying, nothing is really dying.
And you can see the Tiamat is still taking damage. Oh, whoa, okay, there we go. One counter, and that used up his ref stacks. One more turn, and I'm pretty sure that Rahu gets back his S3, which means he's going to top up his ref stacks. Three stacks. Anytime he attacks, there is a good chance he's going to assist. Presses S1 anyway, just to get ready. And now he's cycling, getting back his ref stacks. And there's just so much sustain here.
Yeah, there's a lot of sustain. Also, there's a lot of will prayers, but we're also already looking further into the game where the will prayers have less and less effect right there. And you're almost doing more damage to yourself through all of those shields from Selins rather than the damage you're dealing on the enemy. Whereas Sanya is still healing a very good bit. Well, actually, it's also lower and lower, but it's still looking a lot more lively than the team that we see on the opposite side.
Yeah, and Sanya is just making sure her HP is a lot higher, using the S3, getting the all-powerful healing, getting an extra 40% HP to heal a lot better. But the Artisans are now going to kick in, and this is going to be a dangerous cycle for Ronnie plays, because the Rahu is going to get his turn with Artisan and an S3.
Yeah.
And this can be a Giga Nuke right here.
Yeah, that could be the nuke that also right away activates this Amber. But do we do enough damage? Ooh, not enough damage, but fairly close.
Now that the healing is gone, this is just a game of waiting it out.
Yeah,
waiting it out.
I definitely don't think that Ronnie plays has any comeback potential, because we're that far into the game. Amber normally heals you for a good bit, but even that many Wild Prayers are barely healing you at the moment.
And just by doing a simple S1, you're already taking damage off your own HP, and you're taking more damage from the Aqua Shield. 1.9k reflect damage. That's a lot if you compound it over time.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of damage coming in. Also just using all of the resources.
And just procs that anyway. Goes into Dragon Form, healing up half HP. So this is not going to do a whole lot of damage, especially into greens. Didn't even break the shield. Procs the retail. Oh my goodness. And that is it.
Yeah, that is it. Ronnie does know that he cannot come back from that moment. The Nahor, it was definitely an interesting play right there, but in the end, it did not work out. It was too squishy. It is also one of those units that if your whole team is on Bloodbath, but there is that one unit that is not Bloodbath, immediately your enemy knows which one is more squishy and going to take that out. The moment you're only 3 against 4, you're on the back foot. It's always so difficult to come back from that moment. And we actually had a very well played draft by Relic over there, countering all of that.
Bringing the team back into the fight, one apiece. Ronnie actually losing this time. And now, remember, yesterday, Relic, the Labels Live actually went 3-0. And now Ronnie has lost, so now they have actually one loss under their belt. Relic played that very well. He saw that there were already 2 blue units, picked up 2 greens, 3 greens, and then 4 greens.
5 greens. There was actually 5 greens because
with the Fushu.
The Fushu was also in there. Fushu was actually removed. And that's also one of those things. Like, if you play by hard elements, should you be looking at a red element at that moment? Maybe so. But in this game, it's one of those things. Like, you have other games where you have like a glancing mechanic or a miss mechanic or anything like that, where all of your debuffs are simply just not landing at all if you go for the wrong element. In this game, it's not as important, but still is one of those things to be looking at, because they will do more damage to you.
Yes, and when you're picking a Nahor, who is a blue unit, into 4 green units, you saw that actually hurt him, because he tried to go in with the S2, tried to strip off the immunity, strip off the Aqua Shield, tried to put the buff block and the freeze on it, and it just got completely resisted. And we have Sean B right now showing Ronnie how it's done.
Yeah, let's see what Sean B going to be playing in this match, because last time he had a very strong cleave setup and he's playing against Arts.
And the Nahor gets banned immediately.
We have a Nahor. Well, this is what we call trauma banning. Like, we've seen it. Well, actually, you didn't play against it last time where you lost against it. But most of the time, it's like, okay, we've seen that work very well last time. And it's also right away having the right answers. Fuchu. We have the Aya being banned, makes a lot of sense. But then you are looking for other counters. Any unit on Reaper. Ooh, we have a Linglo on Reaper. That definitely does like to go for Reaper steps right there. So I think Sean B has to be looking at a little bit of a different style of draft. He cannot go full force into CC right now.
Amber on the Mio. He really wants that Mio to stick around for a while, even through 2 lives, because you can't really build Mio super tanky. If not, she's not going to take a turn. And Akaza just going, I am not dealing with any of this. Picks up the Reaper Steps Linglo, picks up the Doki Doki on Codex. Arguably, that should be on Bulwark. And that is, you know, the 2 best cleanses right now with Aya getting banned. Picks up the Tiamat because he needs damage. And how is Sean B going to react to this?
Yeah, Arkasan is pretty much just saying, I'm a rock. You're not moving. We're not trying to kill anything. But High Ridge is a very good answer to try to kill any of those. There's a lot of buffs on your enemy side. However, there's also a lot of cleanses on the enemy side. So Sean B has to be dealing with a lot of that. And let's see if he can bring something in.
He takes the Plume. Now, Plume is here as a CC unit and also an attack buffer here. Last time, he picked up the Freya to get the attack buff. This time, he picks up the Mari instead. So what he's doing here is very simple. He's stacking so many debuffs, overloading the backup stacks so that Doki Doki just completely gets rid of everything, all the backup stacks, and then he starts landing his debuffs slowly. 10 stacks of Curse Quill is going to be very likely here.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that can happen. I'm not too sure about the Lilith. Sure, it's very tanky. Sure, it's very hard to kill. But I would have rather still seen a unit that can do more on counters. Sure, a Holden. Oh, it's actually taken out of this field as well, so we're not going to see it all. But that still means that Jambi is fighting two different kind of style of cleanses, which is going to be very hard.
Very, very difficult. Let's see how much effect accuracy he's on. We all know that the Heinrich is not going to be on so much effect accuracy because of the Revelation, but it doesn't really matter anyway. That Doki Doki is so fast.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Doki Doki is faster than the whole team of the enemy, which is trying to play a fast game. But therefore did also lose the Borg that it was sitting on, if it was sitting on Bulwark. So let's see what we can do on this rotation. Can we actually... Oh, we have...
Oh, there we go. Reaper steps, the counter again.
We have the counters, we have the Reaper steps, we have so many things going in. We have the Heinrich into the Mari right now, but you have to strip everything. You have to land so many debuffs that the stoning of the counters, it's just hurt. Team at skill 1, it just hurts.
What can this Mari do, really?
Not too much at the moment, because we still saw a immunity sitting on the Linglo. Most of the time your Heinrich is not on that high effective accuracy if you're playing it on a Revelation build, which it is right now. Did actually place the stone on the Tiamat, and we have a transform.
No. Oh, and he got purified. Nope. That is over.
That is done. We have an Amber proc right there, but I think Jambi is not bringing this home. And this is also Arkason really playing well for doing his homework, knowing your enemy likes to play in a certain style. We bring in all of the counterplay.
But you can see that the Doki Doki does not have any backup stacks at the moment, so it's all up to Linglo here.
Yeah, Linglo, but then again, I think Linglo can bring it pretty far because the enemy side is showing 0 damage.
It looks like 0 damage at the moment, but the Curse Quill stacks, if he can survive long enough.
Well, the issue is that anytime you hit anything on the Tiamat's gonna counter, and Jambi knows that one because Plume, every hit she does, doesn't matter skill 1 or skill 3, is AoE. It's going to be inevitable at some point to hit that 25% check. Bramble comes in, and at that HP, that is a dead Jambi right there.
Look, at the end of the day, the only way I saw Jambi winning was to stall the game out long enough to bring the Amber cooldowns back, have another life. But asking that is a very tall ask, but it was something to play for, if anything, because it looked pretty meek, especially when you see your Tiamat countering non-stop. That's what Tiamat does. If you hit him or hit her on the dragon form, you're kind of done, man. You're kind of done.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. And I definitely did like the Mari in there. Trying to get the stun. If you're Nahoris banned, definitely an option to get those stuns in there. But in the end, there were just so many cleanses to work with, which made it so hard to play against. And actually, both of the times where the team of Jambi went to play a style which was CC heavy, it lost.
Yeah, it definitely lost. The team for EtheriOS, they're doing their job, they've done their homework, they know who they're fighting, and they have just said, all right, I know how they play, I'm just going to ban the key unit that is going to be the main crux of his entire draft, and see how he adapts to that. So, well done to them. Now they are, one win away from going into the finals. That is the best thing about winning this set here.
Yeah, let's see what they bring. All new players, but because in this case, all 3 players on both sides have already played, so he can go for repeats. Is Jambi going to be playing himself again? Or is he going to be sending in any of the other 2 veteran players that we so much know? But also on the other side, are we going to go for the player that lost? Or are we going to go for the player that won? Most of the time, you want to send in your players that has won already.
There are 2 ways you can play this. One way, you can say, I want to redeem myself. I'm going to go back in again. Or he can say, I'm just going to play round robin, just, go through the same motions, send in Bok, send in Ronnie plays, send myself in. If that doesn't work, repeat that cycle again. And we can see that is the idea that Sean B has. He says, all right, I want everyone to have a fair chance to play the game. Let's put Bok back in. Bok was also the only one that won, so that might be another reason why he got chosen, and we can see Relic going in this time against Bok. New face, doesn't know what he plays. Let's see if Bok can adapt to that.
Yeah, I think it's also very smart from Ethereum EOS to send in another player than Sankyu, because they can expect Sean B to send in the player that has won before, and you don't want to have a full repeat match that you lost before. You always want to bring in a little bit of new blood, a little bit of new faces, and see how that works out this time around.
And we can see Bog going in with the Lilith ban on Relic, meaning that he did some homework. He did some homework. Relic going in with the Plume ban, picks up the Lily, picks up the Holden onto the Fushu, telling him you can have the Tiamat and the Rahu. That's fine. Let's see if that is going to be the case here.
I think he's going to be locking in the Tiamat on 3, looking at this style of draft, and then he's probably looking at a Linglo on 4 or 5, so that could be stolen out. So let's see if he actually does lock that in right here. The Rahu on 2 is already counted by the Holden, but it's more of a steal of not having to play against it if you're locking in the Tiamat on 3, which he exactly does.
Yep, and the reason you lock in the Tiamat on 3 is because Tiamat hard counters the Holden, but at the same time, if you lock in the Tiamat on 3, if they pick up the Rahu on 3, you have a hard counter there. So he just take the Rahu away, and you can see Relic now has to improvise, picks up the Sanya on 3, make sure that he has a healer in the team, and then take the Mizuki to answer the Tiamat.
Once again, Sanya's being a little bit more contested today than it was yesterday, because I was expecting a Linglo on 3, so the Linglo was contested, whereas Bok didn't have the availability of Linglo. We're actually going to be seeing a Karkardi from Bok, which is also mentioned their favorite units for both Ronnie and for Bok right there. So let's see how much it can do. But on the other side, we have a Salins, and Salins actually removes the passive, so that makes it available to hit this Karkardi.
That looks like a force ban to me, and you can even see on the screen, Kokardi's Chameleon is on Bok.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of those things. Like, let's see if he actually puts a lot of faith in this unit, because we have seen it before a few times, but I think so far it has 0 wins.
It has had 0 wins, but we can't deny the Taiwan server Chucky, his Kokardi hit really hard. I want to see if this one can hit just as hard here.
Yeah, let's see what we can bring to the table. First of all, going in with a AoE strip, trying to get some AoE damage in there already.
And also putting the attack down on the Kokardi is quite important, because there's no cleanses whatsoever, so there's going to be 2 turns of attack down on the Kokardi, meaning the Kokardi is going to hit a lot, softer.
Yeah, plus it's the right timing for also having the count shell being slightly, not necessarily nullified, but lowered in damage, because that's going to be 2 turns of extra attack, but that 2 turns of extra attack is going to be lowered at that moment.
But we see the Fushu putting up the Mullet Veil again, and now the game starts. This is going to push everyone to the front. Doesn't matter, everyone's going to take their turn anyway. Get the defense up, because the Kokardi is going to press S3 here to get the Calamity stacks on him up and running. 16 stacks, that's when he really shines.
Well, there's one thing I'm very scared of, and that is double counter. So if we go for an Holder counter, if we go for a Mizuki counter, there could be a lot of damage, but actually the Holder was not countering that.
No, actually you cannot counter Kokardi.
Really? You cannot counter
You cannot counter Kokardi. Oh, the only one that can touch Kokardi at the moment is Viper. Yeah, so this is a very good draft. You can see that Holden is about to drop already. Oh my goodness, and an instant transform Tiamat. That's taking out the Holden. It did not matter whether the all-powerful healing went onto the Holden to give him extra 20% more HP. There was just not enough sustain there.
Yeah, not enough sustain, but also in the process, nearly taking out the Mizuki. Was just healed up by that Sanya right there, and we're gonna go for...
Oh, and a counter attack. That's a lot of damage right there. Even though it's wounded, it doesn't really matter. Everything just exploded. There we go. That's the Kokardi that we wanted to see. Everything just explodes on an S1 into an S2, pushing the entire team forward, giving the entire team crit rate up on an Ember. Lily doesn't really matter, to be honest. And that's the Pal Kokardi, guys. That's the Pal Kokardi. Very, very scary unit. You pick Kokardi into a Mizuki, into a Holden. They cannot hit you. The only way they can hit you is through an S3, and that is only once every 4 turns. Not nice, not fun, and there you go. We finally saw a Kokardi win.
Yeah, that was a very strong showcase as well. And actually, yeah, you're totally right. I forgot about the part that you cannot get countered as well. So it's one of those units, pretty untouchable. Therefore, also the Salins was going to be banned out 100%. Otherwise, it could have actually been countered right there. So very well played. But also the Tiamat once again showing so much damage.
So many Bramble procs in this. In this set, guys. So many Bramble procs. But one thing to note, again, we have to remember, Kokardi You cannot touch, you cannot interact with him. Holden cannot interact with him. Mizuki cannot interact with him. The only way that you could interact with him in that draft was to bring in the Silence, which Relic did, force the ban on 5, which is absolutely good drafting in my honest opinion. Unfortunately, there was just way too much damage for Sanya to take care of, and we saw what happened after that.
Yeah, this is also the very first match that goes all the way to the distance, all the way best of 5. We're actually sitting on a match point for both teams right now.
And Bok, he has a clean slate.
Yep, Bok individually is 3-0 if we take also the victory of yesterday. He's sitting at 3-0, he's carrying his team. But let's see if also the next player can carry the team, or can the player from the other team do a lot more to actually get another victory on their side.
What I want to see is on the label's life side is whether Sean B is going to say, I want to take the win at the end, show off, or he's just going to say, you can have it, please win. And he chose to go with that play. Told Ronaldo, you are going to be the guy that brings it home. Two apiece. We finally go to a best of 5. This is what happens when you're in the semifinals. You take it all the way.
Yeah, let's see what we can do, because also Arkasan was sitting on his victory against Champi, but Ronnie Plays is a very different player. Was actually playing CC in his previous round, but I don't think Ronnie Plays is gonna go for...
I've never seen Ronnie play CC ever.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna go back to a Nahor. It's definitely not going to be one of those things that he trusts Champi on picking
Actually,
again.
I correct myself. I've actually seen Ronnie play CC, and the only time he ever did that was playing Casio, and that's understandable in a Bruiser draft. So we're going into the game right now. We can see Silence ban on Arkasan's side, even on Ronnie's side.
Yeah, we actually have a mutual agreement over here that we do not like Silence, and it's very understandable because there's so many good passives in this game, and you just simply don't want to be playing against them. We have a Fucho sitting on the side of Arkasan, and on the other side, Ronnie is going for that Holden and a Plume.
And you know what's really funny here? We never saw Silence ever in Season 0, Season 1. No. One balance patch, and she is in the pre-ban. That is insane to me. And we can see that Arkasan is playing very safe, very, very safe. Fushu, Tiamat, Aya, very solid composition here. You have the tempo, you have the damage share, you have the speed up, you have the shield. You have almost everything in your arsenal right now, and your last 2 is just going to supplement it. Ronnie, on the other hand, picking up the Plume over there with Holden as a DPS. Linglor and Veronica, another combo over there.
Yeah, Ronnie was also hovering the Lilith for a moment. I'm very happy that he removed that away, because if you go for a Lilith in 3, your enemy is 100% going to be picking up a Doki Doki. You already have the Aya sitting over there, but your enemy is now going for a Born. That's also the first Born we have seen, and we have seen Born do a lot of damage, so let's see what we're gonna bring. We're actually going to be 2 damage dealers sitting on top, the Tiamat and the Born. So let's see on the bottom side, we already have a guaranteed support. Are you gonna go for more damage dealing yourself as well? Rahul is actually, could be the first match where Rahul is simply not picked in. Nope, Rahul still is king, always on the match.
Yep, you have a Tiamat, you have a Bok. A Rahu is almost a must because you're fighting into a Holden and a Veronica with 2 blue units. We saw what happened over back in the previous game. 4 greens into a full blue team. Now we are seeing that elemental advantage-disadvantage play being played in the semi-finals. This is a very nice play. Fushu getting banned, getting rid of at least the main healer. And on the other side, who did we have banned here?
Let's see what we have for this match going in, because we actually, with what we have on the field right now, we have a Plume into a... Well, the Fucho was going to be removed over there, because the Fucho with a Plume into Fucho and an Aya, always super difficult.
And
but
the Aya is really taking a turn because of the Reaper Steps.
Yeah, Reaper Steps, Aya...
Oh, he did not get rid of all the defense breaks.
Defense breaks are still sitting there, but the big question is, when does Holden move? And Holden moves near to the end, so we have a Sanya cleansing potential as well.
S2, very nice. Putting up that shield. There's no real reason to press S3 at the moment. There's no buffs to steal. Let's see what happens here. What is the Linglor going to do here? Maybe she's going to press the S3. Who knows? Because you can just put up a whole bunch of buffs. Let the Born strip away. Maybe just some will press. But he chose just to press S1 here.
Yeah, let's see what we can do on this S1. Where does the healing gonna go for? It's gonna go definitely on the Aya, but the second one kind of depends where you go for this skill 3.
No. He wants the damage. He's putting it all onto Tiamat. All bets on Tiamat. We saw what Tiamat's been doing this entire time. Resets. Does he reset the skills on Born here? I saw something got reset.
Yeah, it's also...
Oh, he did not. He only resetted the turn meter bar here.
So it's definitely a difficult position right here because the Tiamat is full HP, can definitely go off. Does have the defense break sitting in right now, but it's in a comfortable position. So this is one of those matches the Plume player wants to go to the distance. Plume players want to go to 10 stacks. They want to have a very lengthy match, but it's going to be difficult with this Born having all skills available, with this Tiamat all skills available. Can you do anything?
This is actually the correct answer. You have to start interacting with Holden and just play that gamble chance of him counter-attacking. You cannot ignore Holden for too long. If you do, we saw what happened yesterday. You ignored Holden for too long and then the Ethereum effects kicks in. You just eat too much damage. You cannot out-sustain yourself that way. So choosing to go into the Holden is a very good play, using the Tiamat. But what's going to happen here? Finally, the Born's taking his turn, and S3 is definitely guaranteed here. Does he do it? How much damage did he do? He did not strip, he just got all the shields.
Yeah, that's actually not that much damage at all. Also, you can go for steal right now, but there's pretty much nothing to steal, so absolutely not something you want to go for right now. Just a simple skill one. Still gives you...
See, this is why I actually wanted the Linglo to press S3 here, because now the Veronica is in a very awkward position. She couldn't press S3 to, you know, spread the will press. And now we're just going to bank on the Artisan protecting the Holden here. What is the Holden going to do? If you press S3, you're gambling on that Bramble, man.
Yeah, absolutely gambling on that Bramble. And also the Gigabyte on this Sanya, where we didn't see Sanya at all yesterday. It's doing very well in the performance today. And all eyes are on this Holden. Can you survive long enough? Can you survive all of those Tiamat heads coming in pretty soon?
There's just no real answers for Ronnie to go into with that Holden here. If you touch the Aya and you miss the defense break, you just push Aya to the front. If you hit the Sanya is just going to heal back up. If you hit the Born, you're elemental disadvantage here.
Also, the Veronica sitting in an awkward spot because Veronica likes to be playing against units where your enemy have a lot of buffs, stealing all of those buffs, but there's nearly no buffs. There's just cleanses.
I just saw a whole bunch of resist there. Was it just all from Sanya and Aya? I think so.
Yeah, I think so as well, because there's still a lot of debuffs being landed, and the defense, like, there's a good bit of defense break sitting on all of those units. Holden is going to be moving right after this. No, we actually first have the Linglo because of a Gigabyte.
This Tiamat is just waiting for her turn, waiting for her turn. And this is, we're gambling here again? Okay, no Bramble. Very, very lucky, in fact.
Ooh, skill.
You have to press S3 here because you have to use the Artisan's one turn of defense buff. And now you're gambling again. Again, push up the Aya. The Aya there, here we go, cleansing and cleansing. Okay.
Slowly but surely, they're still doing a bit of damage. But once again, all of the Veronica skill 3s are just not being used. It's just waiting for the skill 2. Tiamat.
I honestly would have used the S3 over there to spread more whale stacks here.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those options you could have went for, but it's still all eyes on the Holden. But we're actually going more and more to the distance with this match, and we're sitting at 7 quill stacks on a few units already, and it's going to be more and more, and that is what a Plume player really likes.
Ooh, and that big jump from that Sanya. We all know what a Gigabyte Sanya does. She just moves non-stop on the turn meter, but with Gigabyte, with her S1 giving her a 30% turn meter push already. You have to go into the Tiamat and gamble here. Like, that is the main unit you need to take down. Proc the Amber first. You do not want to proc the Amber when she is in human form. That is the deal breaker. What is he going to choose?
Let's see which skill he's going to go for. And, well, skill 1 is the only thing available, but where are you going to place it? Definitely taking his time, discussing with his team. What is the best option? We're still hitting into that Born.
Dude, that Born is extremely tanky, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's super tanky. Plus the skill 1 gives a little bit of healing, but it only heals, I think, if you actually deal damage. And if you hit into shield, doesn't work. But we're looking at another skill 3, another dispel, and we're going to be looking at 10 quill stacks on 3 units already.
This is a long game that Ronnie is playing. He is slowly just trying to whittle down the opponent, stack up the damage, stack up the curse quill, go into the Etherina effect. This is a matter of whether Akazan can really push the tempo here, because he needs to.
Yeah, at first it actually looked like we're going to say goodbye to this Holden, but the longer this match goes on, this Holden is going to do so much damage. The healing is going to become so little. And we also have this Tiamat sleeping on the hits right now. We have another Artisan coming in.
There we go.
Skill 2. We have no defense breaks. Ooh, not that much.
The blood buff saving the Born here. And Ronnie's just emoting, going, that should have killed. That should have killed.
That should have killed. Also, Tiamat at this moment, skill 1 is not going to do that much damage.
No.
Plus, we gonna
counterattack.
Ooh, nearly taking it out.
No defense break. If that was a defense break, I think that would have done it.
Yep.
Oh, finally she's woken up too late. Too little, too late.
too little too late and almost nothing going on over there. We have a lot of turn meter push coming in.
This is such a bad turn for Aya to press S3 because the Born was already going to get his S3 back, and now pressing that S3 is just not going to do much, really.
I definitely do think you go for the AoE heal, topping off all of the HPs. Also, your healing is not providing that much, but Linglow's healing is still that strong that even with this ether effect, it's still doing a good bit of healing.
Okay, this is where you press S3. You have to, there we go. We needed to use the S3 there. And we did use the S3, spreading so many whale press on every unit.
Now the big question, do we still go into the Born? Born has been seemingly hard to kill, whereas you could have been taking out this Tiamat. Yes,
there we go.
That's the first life of the Tiamat. We have the Amber being proc, but also the Amber is not going to be healing that much. Born skill 3, how much damage are we looking at from this unit?
We're in E3 in fact at the moment. That is still not enough. That is still not enough. And we have the S3 again on the Plume. The Plume has cycled so much thanks to the Jackal God, giving the speed up, constantly taking turns. He's gambled every single S1 on that Plume, and the Tiamat was just sleeping on Arkazan's side, which is relatively unfortunate. But I'm quite happy here, not because the Arkazan is about to lose, but because I bet on Labor's life to win.
Let's see what we have. The match isn't over just yet, but we're getting close.
This Born just doesn't want to die.
No, this Born is on like 1,000,000 HP, it seems to be. It's doing not that much damage, but it's super tanky.
It's ridiculously tanky here. I wonder how much attack he has on this Born. But no matter what you say, that Linglo Veronica combo, like I said earlier, you spread so much will press, you have so much shielding, you can extend the shields. That is just so much sustain.
Yeah, so much sustain. It's also very good that these quill stacks are not cleansable because so many cleanses have been going through. Can you finally take out the Born or take out the Eye? Eye is on lower HP, is actually taken out right now. Saya's trying to do for her best life to actually get some healing in, but the healings are just not that much at this moment in the game.
He's just playing it out. He's just trying to see if he can win through a miracle at the moment. That was a very good play, hitting the Tiamat to get her into Ice State because she was about to take her turn. Push her all the way back. Now she is one turn behind. And what can you do with such low HP? He decides to go in for the taunt. There we go. Counter attack. That's it. That's game. And Labor's Life takes it. Ronnie redeemed himself. Showed that, look, I was just, having fun with the Nahor here. Not showing up my place. But when push comes to shove, Ronnie showed that he is there up in the top ranks of RTA for a very good reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, it was still a very close match, so I do want to give a lot of credit to the Asia team. They played very well. Arkazan played very well, had his victory earlier on, and just played absolutely to his mind because a lot of these teams had so much good composition that from the team and the draft itself, it was like, okay, we have a slight favor in the draft, but we don't have a guaranteed of saying like, oh, player A of player B is having a way better draft. At first, we were actually thinking like, ooh, this Holden is not going to hold. This Holden is actually going to be taken down. But the Plume just came in, 10 quill stacks. There's just so much speed going down. There's so much damage increased. And at some point with the ether effect, you just cannot get the healing in and your units start dying.
You see, I think this is where we had a mismatch of shells and units with the Born. I think that the Born could have done significant amount of damage because that Holden was so low on HP. If only he was on Tiger Yin and on Harvest, he could have actually just used the Tiger Yin, put the damage on it, and press S3, and that Holden was out of the game. And we can see the match result here, 2-3. Labor's Life going to the finals. The first global team going to the finals. Don't sleep on Ethereal EOS as well. The Asia team did their best. They played very, very well. We have to give credit where credit is due. But unfortunately, that Born I think it had to be on Tiger Yin in my honest opinion.
Yeah, or maybe, well, what other units could you have played instead of the Born? There's a lot of other options that you could have maybe played that. But first of all, we're going to be looking at those highlights.
And we are back, but first we are going to have the interview with Labos Life team leader Sean B, the man, the myth, the legend. They're going to finals, so we want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting because in the end, Sean B, very simple question. How does it feel to be carried?
It was too easy, man. It's too easy.
Hey, picking good teammates is a skill as well, so absolutely congratulations on your victory right there. But I want to start off. Where did that Nahor for Roddy come from?
I think it was just too influenced by me, you know? The man, the myth, the legend.
Well, I remember sitting at your place and you're like, wait, no, trust me, pick this. Trust me, pick this. And that's your kind of place also. I'm not surprised about that at all. I called it out here on the cast desk as well. But absolutely well played by your teammates as well. So definitely congratulations. And what would you say are you going to be changing into the finals?
I think I gotta build a different unit than Nahor. I think that's gonna be the big thing for me personally, and tell them to stop using the unit.
So you ban Aya because you know that Aya just ruins your entire day. But from what we saw, Tiamat also ruins your day. Which one is the worst poison here for you?
I mean, Tiamat transforming, get out of CC. You know, I've seen that about 500 times this season. It's like PTSD at this point.
But you still think that Aya is worth the pre-ban after that?
I think Aya is also absolutely insane, especially with the Nahor pre-ban that I saw coming, because with Nahor, you can land 3 debuff, but without, then Aya just absolutely ruin any CC draft to ever exist.
Yep, so I can assume that you're going to be just heavily carried into the finals as well because your Nahor is now going to be perma-banned. So what are you going to do about that?
That could be a Tiamat picker soon, you know what I'm saying?
Ooh. I like that one. I like that one. Definitely don't show all of the cards yet. Keep some cards in your deck for the finals. Absolutely very well played. Gonna love to see you guys play in the finals. But first, we're gonna go into the next match. Sean B, I want to thank you for this interview and see you in the finals.
And there you have it, from the man himself. Nahor getting banned, maybe becoming a Tiamat picker. Psych, maybe?
I would love to see Sean B just go straight in first pick Tiamat, or even better, pre-ban Tiamat. It's like,
pre-ban Tiamat, first pick Aya, let's go.
No, he's just gonna pre-ban the Tiamat and then be like, yeah, now I can't pick it, right? So that's going to be very interesting. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're going into a short break. Grab a bite, grab a snack, and we're going to be back with more matches right there. Don't go anywhere.
See you very shortly. And we are back with Labels Live, Sean B's team moving into the finals, and we're going to see match 2 to see who Labels Live is going to be matched up with.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting who they're going to be facing off against, because it's either Global Team 2 in the form of Fantasy Club, or it's going to be Hydrabanks in the form of the Korean team.
And we now have a experienced and an inexperienced server playing in this match. But first, remember the redemption code GFT 2025 for 3 Anima prototypes. Make sure you claim it. That's GFT 2025. With that out of the way, who do you think is going to win? I have my bets on Hydrabank.
Yeah, I actually did go for the bet on the Fantasy Club. In the end, it is the team of Tomias, it's the team of Brad, and it's also the team of Ultimate Chad, also just known as Chad. So let's see what they can bring to this, because in the end, Mad Life, which we have seen played very well before, and I actually thought about Mad Life yesterday. Isn't that the League of Legends guy? Way back in the early seasons, 2012 is actually, we looked it up. He was the Trash and Blitzcrank king. He was the most hyped player as support out there. And yesterday he actually gave us the most hyped match with that Messiah.
100%.
So I definitely do think that these guys from Fantasy Club, the Tomias team, is going to be noticing is like, hey, we're preventing that Messiah right over there.
Yeah, I mean, the one time Messiah went out of pre-ban jail, he wrecked havoc. So time to go back into, you know, the pre-bans. But we have the team here, Tomias, Brett, and Ultra Chat. And we have the team on the Korean side with Storyteller being the leader. Mad Life, the man that brought the hype. We have Carrie, who played absolutely well as well. And we have Angry Hyung. Let's see how a new server is going to hold up against what is arguably, you know, one of the strongest, you know, global team besides Labels Live.
Yep.
They have played so many games. 2 of them are so high up in the ladder there. One of them hosts Fusion Cups non-stop. I want to see how they are going to fare.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting, and also curious for us to see if Mad Life cannot play as Messiah. Does he have a different kind of style of cleave, or does he just simply not play cleave? Because those are the 2 options right there.
I honestly think if you like to play fast and you already built your account to play aggro, you have an option to play besides, you know, your Messiah. So we're going to see the very first match of Fantasy Club. We have Ultimate Chad, who is also just known as Chad, against Angry Hyung. We saw Chad had a very, very strong showing yesterday. Played very solid. Angry Hyung as well played very solid. You cannot sneeze at both of them. How are they going to be matched up? I want to take a look.
Yeah, I think Chad yesterday had 2 victories. Yesterday, Brad went in first. So let's see how Chad... We have Chad and Brad. That's going to be a little bit confusing from time to time. But now around...
definitely.
We are going to be looking at Chad. But then again, Angry June, I'm actually not sure. I think he took the victory for his team as well.
I can't remember as well, but he definitely did play solid because the team went into, you know, the semifinals. So you can't sneeze at them. But what are they going to pre-ban here? What are they going to play? I'm very curious to find out. They're going to go into their match very shortly. And Now, I want to see Ultimate Chat, known as, pretty aggro player. Is he going to be playing aggro, or is he going to be playing a little bit more safe? We can see that Chat bans Kokardi and Angry Hyung bans Doki Doki.
The ban of Doki Doki could still mean two things. It could mean like, I ban Doki Doki, I don't want to be playing against anti-CC, and I'm going to be playing CC. But it could also mean simply, I don't want to give you the tempo. So a Doki Doki ban doesn't show too much. A Kokardi ban simply says like, we're not playing that kind of bruiser, full-on damage kind of style that Kokardi can do. Also locking in first few units, we got a Plume and a counter of a Fucho plus a Holden.
And now he has to make a choice here. Does he go with the Rahu Tiamat, which is, the Holy Trinity getting picked up before you supplement it with your 4-5? Or is he going to try something different? He's really taking his time to decide what he wants to put on 3 here. And we get to see that happen right here on 3. Deciding to either lock the Rahu. He's still contemplating there, but he knows he definitely wants the Tiamat one way, shape or other.
It's most of the time where you see it in the other way around, where you put the Tiamat on 3, because the Tiamat is a guaranteed counter against the Holden. In this case, the Rahu is guaranteed countered by Holden, more or less.
Yeah, but you're also guaranteeing yourself the combo of Plume and Rahu here.
That is definitely very true. So there's a lot of options right there. This is definitely the moment where Chat is going to be looking at more supports. Or are we first going to add in 1 damage dealer on 3 maybe? That is a semi-damage dealer, also a support. But then we're looking at probably anything along the lines of a Linglo, a Sanya, or any kind of damage like that.
Or maybe even Tempo through Lily.
Ooh, Tempo through Lily is definitely an option as well. There's a lot of options you could go for. You could also go for the combination of an Aya plus Fucho, because it's incredibly strong against the Plume.
Yes, 100%. And just having Fushu and having Aya there means you're just going to have answers to Plume. Plume is no longer a worry for you anymore. And we see a Lily getting picked here. As you can see, we can see how the draft is being formed, and this is how top players play. They try to get their DPSs in, then they try to supplement it with, some form of tempo or some form of healing, and you have the Fushu, you have the Lily, you have all the good units to assist your DPS here to dish out more damage and consistent damage at that. But what is Angry Hyun going to pick? He picks up the Silence more as a answer or a counter to not letting Ultimate Chat Gamer here pick up the Silence to his Tiamat, Rahu, and Plume, who are all very dependent on the exclusive passive. But what is the 5th pick here? Because there's still no healers.
Yeah, there's no healers. That's definitely the interesting thing. I would have rather seen a healer on 4 and 5, but I definitely do also agree. Silence is a steal. It's not necessarily like, hey, I want to be playing with this unit. I want you not to be playing with this unit. And therefore, we're actually going to go all the way where we're just simply saying, it's like, wait, I'm not going to go any healer at all, but I'm going to go countering your Fucho. I'm going to be countering your Veronica. So let's see if this Heinrich actually makes it into the match, because we have seen Heinrich on a Revelation before. This is on a Kodak of Magic.
This is a very aggressive composition if you really just look at the composition down here. Chad doesn't really know what he wants to pick on 5 at the moment. He still has, a lot of combination between Lily, Holden, Veronica, or Lily with, Lilith. And honestly, if you just ban out the Fushu here, you're going to be playing a very aggressive game. I can see a very aggressive bruiser game happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And sure, there's still a good bit of shields, but if we remove that, there's near to no healing. Sure, there's a little bit of healing on the heal over time of Tiamat. We're also going to be removing that Lilith, so this is going to be a very interesting game of seeing also who moves first. Are you going to be playing a very fast Heinrich, which is a very good utilization right here, right now?
And having him on Codex also means that he could be played on Bloodbath, and I remember he's not very fast. There we go. He's not exactly super fast. The Lily taking initiative as always. Who is he going to push up the front here? That's the real question. Can he push up the Holden quick enough to reset the Heinrich? He does get it.
Yeah, Heinrich is not sitting at a bulwark. Definitely needed a bulwark right there, and it was increased in cooldown if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so that's definitely a really bad position for this Heinrich to start off with.
Yeah, I was really hoping that he was on Bulwark, considering he's on Codex of Magic, since Codex of Magic does provide you Bulwark matrices to play with. And now everything is all going haywire for Angry Hyun here.
Yeah, so currently all focus is on this Forgetfulness. Can we get Forgetfulness on all of the targets right here? Because if we were looking at a Heinrich already landing buff blocks, there would be so much more tempo. Because right now there's so much immunity sitting, and where you actually just simply don't really want to be doing your skill 3. Because we just got all of the immunity stolen. We're just waiting for skill 1, but why do you want to place your skill 1?
And, I mean, at the end of the day, Selens is one of those units, no matter what you do, that S2 is always going to go off as long as you take action. And so you can see now the Aqua Shield has just gone up. Fu Shield now making the game play on her own terms. You have 2 turns of literally using her as a punching bag. You don't want to attack anything else because right now, if you touch the Veronica is going to get her own 35% push alongside another 8% push off the Moonlit Veil. And now we are going to see that reset coming in, doing a bit of chip damage here and there, not too heavy. But the Holden also is on Twin Trick, so we are going to see a lot of movements from that Holden here, cheating out turn meter non-stop.
Yeah, I think the Holden is looking at a very favorable position over here because it just has so much tempo. Also, the Heinrich was the only one reset by the Lily. Was already looking at long cooldown, so nothing really happening over there. We still have the team-ups from the Tiamat in combination of the Rahu. Can potentially do a lot of damage, but is it going to be enough? Rahu does have the skill available, was not reset. How much damage are we looking at? Not enough just yet.
And the Artisan goes up. This is what happens when you pair Fu Shield with a Holden or any form of Artisan units. You try to gun down that Fu Shield, but by the time you even try to get there, an Artisan unit will just come in, put up that massive shield, and now you have to work through that shield while she heals up her HP, and then she's back to square one. That is what you are going to be working with because you did not put the Bulwark on the Heinrich. All of that could have been mitigated right there on the spot. But now that Heinrich is on massive cooldowns, as you can see.
Yeah, the cooldowns are super long, but also the cooldown was increased from this Lins by this Holden. So Forgetfulness is also not going to be going anywhere. So the only hope that we have on the opposite side's team is the Rao and Tiamat starting to do enough damage before getting chipped down.
Ooh, and that's a lot of damage onto the Selens with the defense break. Going in with the S3 with Artisan's defense buff, pushing a good amount of damage, but because of that massive Artisan shield, it didn't really matter how much damage was getting reflected.
Yeah, there's still a lot of HP on this Holden, and this Holden is looking very good. Twin Trick coming in once again, a little bit of chip damage, but
and down
taking
go
so many turns.
That Selens was about to drop.
Yeah, there's just not that much HP on it. We get a little bit back from the passive right now, but we're sitting at a bad spot for Chad at the moment. Or no, wait, sorry, Angry June at the moment, because there's just not enough tempo. And as I mentioned before, if you had the Bloodbath and the Bulwark on that Heinrich, you could have done so much more. So I'm curious to see what's actually the second set instead of the Bulwark on this Heinrich.
So now we are just playing the long game here. We still have 2 lives on that Tiamat, but we don't have any healing, if you can see. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here. Now we can see the Selens has dropped. There's nothing you can really do about that. You have no healing. Your pseudo-sustain in the form of Aqua Shield is now down. Your Heinrich is fully cooled down. Finally, we are seeing Fu Shield take her very first turn in that Moonlit Veil. That feels like an eternity because of how much movement that Holden has done alongside Veronica with the help from Lily.
Yeah, Lily's just blowing so much tempo to this team, and also there's no proper healing on the side of Angry Hyun, so I don't see any proper momentum where you can actually get your skills in. We once again go for the buff, adding all of the speed to this Holden, but also adding the crit buff at that moment. No, we're actually just simply going to go for skill 1, just to have that Twin Trick add more skill 1s.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real reason to push the Holden at the moment. You can just naturally let him gain turn meter just through using that Twin Trick, because now this looks pretty nice over here in terms of the turn meter bar. The Tiamat is going to move, then the Rahu is going to move, and that Rahu is not going to do a whole lot. Then you take your turn, your whole team takes a nice full rotation here. You can see he's just ignoring that Heinrich altogether. 1 S2, and he says, I don't care about you anymore.
Yeah, Heinrich really needs the skills. We have another Artisan coming in. Artisan on the defense break is simply taking out these units.
And that was the speed buff coming into play, getting that turn meter, cutting ahead of that Rahu, bringing down the Rahu immediately.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at a second life from this Tiamat with this Amber, but Amber against the world where Fuchu is still sitting on the Moonlight Veil, it's just not going to happen. Also, once again, we're doing so much damage on this Heinrich. Heinrich did not participate in this match at all.
There you go. He just decided, you know what? I'm just going to get rid of you right now, and I'll just toy with this Tiamat right now as I slowly just put up another Artisan shield.
Yeah, that's also one of those Lily things. You're not just resetting the skills, you're also resetting the shield. So we have a full HP Tiamat, but I'm not expecting that much damage at all.
Well, a lot of damage on that Lily, but you expect that from a Tiamat. And this Tiamat is either not built on Bramble, or it's just heavily sleeping at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely not doing that. And we also go into a second rotation of Moonlight Veil. That's mostly the moment where the Ether effect makes it where Moonlight Veil is not as strong. But Tiamat in this position is definitely in no position to make a 1v4.
Yeah, and that Halloween showing its potential here, giving that 3 turns, quote unquote, to that Fushu on her cooldowns with the S3. The second she's right out of Moonlight Veil, she's back on the Moonlight Veil. And you're just in that perpetual loop of being in her S3 state.
Yeah, it's definitely very difficult to play against it at that moment. And we have the victory going to Fantasy Club.
Again, Chad just showing very, very strong gameplay.
Yeah, very strong gameplay throughout, and just also very well prepared of like, okay, these are the styles that they have been playing before, let's counter them.
I honestly think that Angry Hume had a shot that if that Heinrich was on Bulwark or fast enough.
Yeah.
But getting that mixture of speed with bulk and effect accuracy is very difficult to hold. And I thought maybe that's why he put him on Codex of Magic, to make sure that Bulwark is on, make sure the S3 gets fired off. But I was very surprised that there was no Bulwark on it.
Yeah, looking at the speeds, it was definitely faster than most of the other units. So we had Lily moving all the way first, then we had Heinrich, and then we had like pretty far after the rest. So it could be that it would have been on 3 pieces of Bloodbath and then 2 pieces of Swift Rush. So you go for like a half on a Swift Rush plus Bloodbath, but you don't fully finish the Swift Rush, so therefore you're not fast enough.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think that if you were going to go that route, you should have just gone full Swift Rush, 50% extra speed off your Swift Smite, off your Swift Rush, and then you just add on the Bulwark there. Would have been a whole lot better because you get to put up all of that necessary debuffs, like the buff block, like the last words, and eventually you might be able to take your second turn, and if you already put up that thing, your S2 doesn't really matter all too much at that point because Veronica is shut down, Fushu is shut down, and your Holden is only going to be getting the twin trick off that Lily.
Yeah, also you would have had the combination of Heinrich plus the forgetfulness of Selins, because in the end, Selins never got her skills off. Heinrich never got the skills off, simply by Heinrich not being available using the skill. So Holden is so versatile. It's not just the bruiser, it's not just the damage dealer. It is, once again, we said about it yesterday, the moment you have a certain unit skipped and you have to explain, it's like, oh, it's a dispel, but it's also an attack down, but it's also a counter, and it's also an armor break, but it's also a pushback, but it's also increased cooltime. That's the and that is why it's first picked in a lot of these matches.
Yeah, 100%. That is how you know that is a very good unit. If you have to add like 10 different ends into his skills, or her skills, that's it. You know it's a good unit. And we can see the next match, we have Tamias against Carrie, saving Brad for last this time.
Yeah, where Brad went first yesterday. We actually have Brad going last this time around. And Carrie has to carry the momentum, try to get 1 point on the board for Hydra Bank, because otherwise they're going to be sitting at a devastating point where MetLife has to win his matchup. But first, Carrie was playing very well yesterday. Was actually one of the shines of their like the whole team. So let's see what we have in this matchup.
We have the Fushu ban on Carrie's side, and we have the Veronica on Tamiya's side. He's still going with the Veronica ban. He's like, I don't want to see any of that stuff from yesterday. That is still a PTSD ban in my opinion. So he's going to ban that. Picks up the Holden into a Plume, and now the Fushu is gone. So now you have no real answer to Plume right now. Not a real good answer because you have to give up your 3 to Aya to the opponent here, because if you don't, you have to pick Aya, which can be banned because it's not on the protected slot. So he decides, I'm just going to take both the Holden and the Rahu here.
And that does mean that we have the Tiamat sitting on 2 for Carrie, if he does so please to lock that in. But it's going to be the question, are you going to be going for a steal on an Aya right now? Because if you don't steal the Aya's definitely going to be placed in the 3 on the side of Tamias.
No, he's thinking of Doki right now. He's thinking Doki. Okay, and I think Doki is not a bad pick here because Doki can also cooldown reset. She also ladders push. She puts up backup stacks. She puts up data streams, which is increased damage over time and increased speed over time. The more stacks you have, not a bad option. Or again, once again, on Codex of Magic, that just means you can press S2 twice. That's a lot of tempo. Aya getting picked on 3 by Tamias here. What is going to be his 4th pick? Because he's already locked in the DPS. What is he going to pick here? He is thinking Lilith. Okay.
Lilith, once again, Lilith into the Doki Doki.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about those. Like the moment that your enemy is showing cleanses, you mostly do not really want to go for anything that is working with debuffs. And Lilith is fully working on debuffs. Once again, another semi-counter, or actually a decent counter into debuffs, is a Lilium. And a Lilium sitting on a Taigi, and that is a dangerous one.
Yes, and I think I know why he went Lilith. Because Lilith, and if I have a sneaking suspicion what's coming on 5, he's going to fully counter Tiamat here. And Carrie knows that that's going to happen, so he's trying to protect the Tiamat. So he's going to pick up all of the stuff to make sure Tiamat functions at full force, because we all know what Tiamat can do. All you have to do is just get a couple of unlucky procs and you are out of the game.
We're actually gonna go
for Sanya, there we go.
Rather than the Linglo. It's so interesting. Yesterday it was all Linglos, never Sanya. Today it's kind of more 50-50, or even more leaning into Sanya. So what are we gonna see on the 5th from Tamias right now? Are we gonna go back into a Salins? Is looking pretty strong in this draft, because I'm looking at 4 potential passes. The 5th one you could ban out, but no, we're actually gonna go for even more tempo. So we're not showing that many healers on this field altogether.
That drop up the top there is very aggressive, because you're using Aya to push, you're using Lily to push, you're using Lily to cooldown reset, Aya to cooldown reset, Lilith over there, stunning the team, putting slow, putting speed up, Artisans, protecting your team. Because you can only ban out one of the Artisan users here, if you really choose to. If not, you have to fight both, and you're going to have to juggle between 2 different Artisan units. And we see the Tiamat getting banned.
Ooh, Tiamat getting banned, so I'm very curious to see, can we deal with this Lilium fast enough? Because if Lilium starts destroying HP, it's always very difficult to get back from.
Yes, and we have a 2nd life on Lilith anyway, so... not Lilith, Lilium, because we have Sanya on the opposite team there, and Doki Doki taking the first turn, pushing everyone to the front. This is a very, very strong play right now. I'm only really scared here about the Aya cutting the Lilium right here, because the Plume is going to press S3. If there's not enough effect accuracy, that's going to proc Reaper stats because it hits 3 times. So what are we going to choose to do here? Are you going to use the S3 to make yourself tankier, therefore healing up a bit more? Or are you just going to pass the turn, get the turn meter, and then use that to push yourself forward later on to press that S3? No, he decides the Lilium needs the HP.
Okay, so let's see, how much can we do? Are we gonna get resisted? Are we gonna be pushed up? Actually,
he does
get pushed up right there. Cleanses nearly every defense break. Plus, we get the turn meter push, and the turn meter push is going to be very devastating.
And there you see the Lilith is going in with the defense break. Doesn't really matter because she has an S3, S2 sequence. So that's going to go off her anyway. Only lands 3 graceful mischiefs. So that's not too bad, actually.
Big question is, can you take the Lilium out right now? Because your skill 2, I don't think it's
I don't think you can. You can't push her back. You can't stun her. She is definitely going to take a turn one way or another. That hits straight into the Tiger, hits straight into the Lilith. Surprisingly having the lower HP.
Yeah, let's see. Do you also follow up the damage on that? Because you do amplify damage on the target that your Tiger does go for.
One shot!
And
one shot!
Takes out 1 unit right away. Lilium off the field. But now we're going into Bruiser with pretty much the 2 kings of Bruiser in this game.
And this is actually a very interesting situation for Tamias here, because you can't really cool down the Lilium, because we still have the Doki Doki that can fully reset. But this is probably going to be a massive cleave right here, and the Lilium goes down. Amber procs, and now we have to play this game of, you know, waiting out Sanya's revive.
Yeah, waiting out Sanya's revive, but it's also one of those hits where it's just difficult to get any damage in. And also, every time your Plume hits, Plume is gonna be getting more Reaper activations. It's going to be potentially countered by 2 different units. So it's definitely very hard to make any use of it right now.
So what is he going to use the skills on Doki Doki right now? What is he going to press? Does he press S2? Does he wait it out? Does he press S3, push the team up, get more backup stacks? There's a lot of questions to be asked here, because there's really no good answer in my honest opinion. You really want to push that Sanya to go first, but the Rahu and the Holden is just trailing right behind them. So he decides to cooldown reset. That's not bad because the Plume is going to come back very shortly. He gets the resist, but he's about to go down anyway.
And there was also a crease in the cooltime, so the revive is being delayed. Also, one of those interesting interactions. If he killed anything else than the Lilith, if he killed the Rahu, or if he killed the Holden with that Lilium, it would have been so much better because the Lilith already used the skills. Holden and the Rahu didn't use any skills. But then again, you have to follow your follow-up damage, and therefore he went for that Lilith.
We still can't count them out because now everything is defense broken. Everything has weakness. That that Sanya is still alive.
It's over. It's over.
Oh,
we are taking out this Reviver. And without the Reviver, we're just looking at a Plume and a booster for the Plume. And Plume is just waiting to get countered.
Yeah, I mean, what can you really do at this point? You are playing the Curse Quill game, I guess.
Yeah.
But that is not enough because this Rahu is not sleeping.
Yeah, it's not sleeping, and we're doing so much damage. And it's just a matter of time. We're gonna take some more turn meter. Holden is all the way at the left side, but suddenly is halfway already.
And then you're probably just going to get another Artisan proccing right now as well.
Yeah, plus counters. These counters are working so hard.
And then an AoE that will just mop the floor here.
Yeah, this AoE skill 3, we already had the Amber being activated, and Tamias does not win this match. Fantasy Club going
no, Tamias won. Oh, that was Tamias.
Sorry. Sometimes it's hard for me to follow which side it's on. Tamias actually had the victory over there, and Fantasy Club did get the victory there. Yeah.
And now it's all up to MadLife to bring it home and bring another set of games to, Hydra Bank. I'm shaking in my boots here because I prepped for them and I, bet on them. But, they have been playing very, very well here. Tamias playing very well. Chad playing very well. Can the Korean team actually do anything about this?
Well, yesterday MadLife had the most showcase of a match with that Messiah. I definitely do think Brett is going to be simply banning out that Messiah. But I also do think Brett is one of those players that play a lot of matches, and he played against all kinds of bruisers. So I think he is well prepared against or not necessarily he played against a lot of bruisers, he played against a lot of cleaves. So he's going to be well prepared against cleaves.
But I mean, you're already playing a bruiser setup, so you are already quite safe into cleave. You know the cleave matchup, and he's practiced a lot into cleave anyway. What is MadLife going to do if the Messiah is pre-banned? That is what I want to know, because there's still a lot of variations of cleave. We saw that in the China server where they played the turn meter manipulation kind of game just to aggro you down slowly, and that's also still another form of cleave, just maybe a little slower given. But we can see Brett is going in to try and get a clean 3-0, and MadLife is over there hanging on to DLife, trying to get that one win so that they can reshuffle and try again.
Yeah, actually Tamias did mention it in his video. He wants to go clean 3-0s throughout. Yesterday it did not work out because Brad had one lose. Can Brad take it home this time with the 3-0, or can MadLife do something about it? Because this is going to be the pre-ban where it's like, okay, are we going to be pre-banning something on the side of the cleave already? Are we going to give MadLife his comfortable playstyle? And we're actually taking out a Tsukio Mi.
Oh, so we just decide we'll get rid of the attack buff, we'll let you have the Messiah, and we'll deal with the Messiah so in a way where you cannot ever get your turn. So, interesting ban here. Now, how is the MadLife going to adapt to this ban? That is the important question here. Are you going to lock your Initiator on 3, or are you going to lock your DPS on 3? And we see Brett going with a Lilith on the first 2 picks. Interesting.
Yeah, that's very early for Lilith. Lilith is more of like a 4 and 5 pick that we see most. But we also see an interesting one over there. We had a Holden sitting on an Alicorn, which into a Lilith is not that bad. But normally, it's something that you more like to see on a Jackal Guard or a Artisan.
And he went in, he was deciding on the Fushu, and then went, no, I am just going in, brother. I'm just going in. And the Aya on 3, literally there to stop all kinds of momentum that MadLife can actually gain through the Plume, through the Mio. And that Messiah is not on Bulwark because remember, it's on Sword 7 here.
Yeah, Sword 7 is one of those that does not have Bulwark in there. If it was on Count, it could have been Bulwark right there. But on the Sword 7, I don't think there is a Bulwark in there. I'm actually not too familiar with that shell because it's normally not that great because you have to work off anything else being stunned already.
Yeah, any kind of control. Freeze, stun, Petrify, any kind of CC. You have to have that CC. Even Forgetfulness, Nahor is getting picked here.
Ooh, so we're definitely playing the CC over here on the bottom side. On the top side, we do have an Aya already locked in on 3, and
we're taking the Freya.
We're doubling down, but then again, I would say, like we mentioned it earlier, as a Cleave player, really hate to play into Fucho. Actually, doesn't go for the Fucho over here. Goes for Sanya. Normally, you see a Sanya on a Gigabyte or maybe this is a Jekko card. This is an Amber.
This is 3 Ambers right here, ladies and gentlemen. This just screams you have to ban Mio, right?
Yeah, that's going to be definitely those.
Or maybe not, because we have Aya on 3, so you can always just cleanse off the wound here. Now you're playing a game of chicken where can the Aya get rid of the wound quick enough, right?
And also, can the wound land in the first place? So that's also going to be the question. What is on Bulwark? Because I think from all of these Ambers mostly are not on Bulwark. So let's see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, he's literally banking on the fact that the Aya is going to just get the Reaper Steps, push the entire thing, create the initiative with the Lilith, and control the team down that way.
Yeah, let's see what we're gonna have.
Typical Mad Life, typical Cleaver, just banning out the speed, get rid of that. Now it's all up to me.
Yeah, let's see what we can do on this matchup, because also, in most cases, Freya is, well, the Freya's...
That's a damn fast.
That is very fast. And also, it's curious to see if Aya even pushes up enough attack power with this, because I think that...
No. It's because the Freya is turn meter manipulating with all the pushes, so that... Oh, but it doesn't matter.
Nope, we still have it moving. And actually, we removed everything already. And Lilith is moving very soon right now. There's no Bork on any of those units, so the Freya could not use the skill 1 of the passive, adding a little bit more attack power to either a Nahor or herself.
Even the Chaku Ring prediction here is saying that Mad Life is going to win, but just off that Aya interaction there, I think that everything just shifted.
Yeah, that's definitely shifted right there. It could still be that the Nahor moves right after this if he's faster on the tick.
Oh, he does cut!
On the tick. It was faster on the tick. The attack bar shows the current state of the current speed, but it doesn't take in account what is the tick rate on the speed of the unit itself. Can we get all of those freezes? Right now we're getting nearly all freezes, but those are exactly the freezes you were looking for. We're looking for attack buff for that Messiah. Can we do enough damage with that?
Now we are actually... He's pressing the S3. He is gambling on the Aya here. Pushing back so much.
But also pushing up. That is actually enough.
And the Messiah goes in.
Sword 7 on 2 units. There is actually a freeze. So Sword 7 does do more damage on these 2 units. But we have to keep in mind, there is still Amber.
Whoa!
So much damage coming in, taking out 1 unit, goes into a different kind of free state, but that is the free state you would like to see normally. But we're also just simply cleaning things up right now.
And the Sanya as well getting frozen. Now, what is this now? It's a bit awkward here.
Yeah, it's definitely awkward. I think you have to put in as much damage to the Tiamat as possible. I think that would be my kind of play. But I would save my skills, just simply go for skill 1s, because you can't really land debuffs at this moment. Also, this you could maybe go for skill 2, more of the pre-protection for the moment that anything happens later. Plus, you're buffing yourself a little bit with attack buff.
And now, what is this Freya going to do here? He's thinking about it. Does he want to put up the defense buff so that when the Tiamat comes out, it's not going to one-shot the Nahor or the Plume or the Freya? Or is he just going to do more damage? I think that putting up the buff is probably more important here.
Yeah, I would definitely go for the skill 2 right here, because you have the pre-protection sitting in. Plus, you get a little bit more attack bar gain for having multiple buffs at this moment. So, Sanya comes back, does have the revive. But is that going to be enough? If you revive right now, Messiah moves right after. Messiah is going to clap that on a skill 2.
Let's take a look here. What is he bringing back? No, he just says, I'm going to have more HP. I'm going to survive here. Waste the S2 here, but that also means he's still on that 1-turn invincibility. It doesn't really matter here. He's going to get that S3 off, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you just have to go for your skill 1 into the Tiamat, lowering the HP just a little bit, and just waiting for it to happen. Also, once again, okay, is enough damage. Also, Freya once again overtakes this Tiamat, so he can still go for the buffs on the later moment.
And now Nahor has a choice here. Does he want to press S2? He does press S2, freezes the Sanya. And this Freya is just lapping.
Yeah, the Freya's lapping skill.
Now he decides, he actually timed it perfectly to have the Freya cut so they can put the defense up when the Tiamat comes out of ice state.
Yeah, so she cannot really do too much right now.
There we go. Like I said, you needed the defense buff right there to protect the Nahor.
That is a lot of damage. Tiamat just got one turn off just to skill one, nearly taking one out. One counter, nearly taking out the second.
Fine.
But defense down, freeze, Tiamat. Are we going to be back into a
and into a defense broken Messiah S2 going definitely into the Tiamat, trying to take her out right now, right here. And there we go, instantly cleaved.
So once again, Tsukiyomi is gone. Messiah's on the field. Mad Life loves his Messiah.
And you know, like we said, Nahor is just a menace, You can get rid of Tsukiyomi, that's fine. And Mad Life just saying, good game, man, good game. You tried your best with the Amber. I'm not having any of it. Sword 7 picking it up again and just saying good night to Sanya, taking the win once again. Mad Life just really knows how to hype up the stream, showing off cleave is still relevant, even though Brett has played so much Bruiser, understands the cleave meta, understands what to pick. He's picked up all of the Ember units going second life. He said, you can cleave me, that's fine, I still have one more life to go. Mad Life just goes, that's a cool story, bro.
Yeah, he's bringing the hype. He used to do that back in the days with the Blitzcrank, with the Thrash in a different game. League of Legends, very well known over there. I think he played for Azubu Frost, but I could be wrong in that one. But he definitely played very well in the LCK, but he's also playing super well in these turn-based games over here, bringing all the hype. But I also do want to mention, Brad is the winner of the last cup that we had. He's sitting on 2 losers right now.
He's lost to Bruisers, he's lost to Cleave. I don't know. Now, Mad Life has, brought a second life back. He's actually did an Amber to his entire team, bringing, that little one life back to bring them into Game 4. So are we going to see a Game 5 like we saw with Labor's Life and Ethereal EOS? That's the real question here.
But also, I would give the argument that Mad Life is the best player on the Korean team by just pure statistics. Who do you put in match 4? Do we just send in Mad Life again?
Or do you just save him for match? Well, yeah. Or do you use him now and then just make sure you get yourself to the end?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question, because if you're on your last life, you have to be sending in your best player. You have to be sending in the player that's most confident, trying to get your win in. So very curious to see who Storyteller likes to put in that 4th match right now.
The comeback is real. The hype is brought. We finally see Cleave and not, the whole standard, taking the whole Bruiser Trinity, protecting the Bruiser Trinity, and adding a little bit of, Silence here, Aya here, Sanya here. Actually, we're seeing a lot of Sanya now in the finals. I think they were all saving it for the semifinals and the finals. They didn't really want to use Sanya because, they could be a bit more aggressive. But now with, the finals on the line, they want to play a bit more safe. They want more revives. They went with that choice. And we can see Mad Life going in again against Chad. Now, Chad is an aggro player. He understands the ins and outs of an aggro player, which is what Mad Life is doing. He's just cleaving with CC. And Chad plays like that as well, as far as I remember. And so now you have 2 cleavers or aggro players playing it out. Can Chad find the answers to Mad Life, or can Mad Life find the answers to Chad?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a super interesting one, because Mad Life is known to the Messiah cleave. Are you just simply, you got to pre-ban that Messiah, right? Because in the end, the Messiah has won 2 very clean matches for him. And that is exactly what we see. Chad is like, Messiah, no more on this one.
Yep, Messiah back into the pre-ban jail again. And we're not going to see any Messiah. And I really want to see, this is what we wanted to see. What is Mad Life going to do with, the Messiah getting pre-banned? That is his main form of damage gone.
I'm seeing a Freya on 1, and that is one of those things. Freya on 1 is showing a lot of okay, we go foot full on the gas pedal, full throttle, and we're not stopping. We're going, and I love to see it.
And can Chad go? Can Chad be the guy, when you are taking your driving test? Can he be the guy to pull the handbrakes and be like, no, slow down on... This is going to be very interesting. We have the Freya into Emil, a Yelly on Revelation on 3.
I'm definitely a cleave player myself, and where Messiah does an insanely good job at cleaving. Yelly is often one of those yeah, if I get a lot of extra hits, I can definitely do it. But just cleanly, the skill 3 is not really taking out units as Messiah is. Plus, it has a lot of issues against Tiamat, because Messiah is protected by the invisibility. Yelly is eating a very big hit if that 25% happens.
100%. And we can see the Tiamat going in, and along with the Veronica. And you can see the Veronica is there for one very simple reason here. If anything interacts, she's going to get her meter push. She's going to put up Soul Ward, and that gives him a second chance at, doing whatever he wants to do. And Mad Life picking the Heinrich because that is 100% going to be the 4th ban here. What is he going to ban here?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting interaction. What is, once again, with that Nahor? What is on Bulwark? Because Bulwark is very important against Nahor. Definitely the options are that Plume is sitting on Jekyll Guard. That's very commonly on Bulwark. But a Halloween doesn't have to be Bulwark.
Yeah, it does not have to be on Bulwark. But Veruca is always going to be on Bulwark because she can be a pseudo immunity giver through her buffs. Her buff steal S3 that spreads also all the buffs she steals. And the Linglord gets banned immediately. So, how is he going to maneuver this? That's the real important question here. That Nahor is so fast. It's faster than the Freya.
It is faster than Freya. Also, we can right away go for skill 3. And there's no immunity on the side of Mad Life, which is really good. Because if the Veronica moves, you cannot steal anything that is not there.
Yeah, 100%. So, what is this Nahor going to do? Is he just going to slam the S2 into the Veronica? No, he just goes... You're getting frozen. I don't care.
Ooh, we're going in for the S3, and we're actually landing everything once again. This Nahor is being super consistent, so skill 3 right now isn't going to be doing as much, but still wants to go for that skill 3 at this position. Probably just mainly for that Soul Ward, to have some more value of protection in there. Also bringing in that immunity, but then again, Mio is maybe having a bit of an off turn right now, but how much can this other unit do? And that is called Yelly.
And the Freya is going to go in there. He's thinking whether he wants to put the attack buff or the defense buff. He decides because when you're frozen, you can still get pushed back. And there we go. You see, no gain on turn meter from the Plume because you are frozen. Is he going to steal the turn meter here so that he can cycle more often?
Well, if you go, I would actually go for skill 3, not necessarily for the cycle because you're only stealing just a little bit, but you get a speed buff, and the speed buff will help all of your units at a later moment.
Revelation kicking in.
Ooh, we have a defense break still sitting at 2 units, and that's definitely what you like to see because then you already have a defense break and you don't have to let any defense break from yourself. How much damage can we deal right now? We have to keep in mind, Amber is still on this Tiamat, so you're definitely not going to be taking that out. But the other 2 units could be squishy, especially Aya. She's mostly on high resistance.
Yeah, and let's see where he decides to go with the follow-up attack. He's thinking about it. Because there's no questions asked, an S3 is coming, but where is it getting shot at? That's the real question here. Instantly one-shots the Tiamat. Holy.
So much damage. Also just one follow-up, but that was totally fine. Also, once again, we can go for another round of skill 3 because this Kodak of Magic on this Nahor is doing so much work.
And now everything is frozen.
Yeah, that's what Mad Life is super hard cleaving, and where you think Chat maybe has the right answer against Cleave, Chat also doesn't seem to be having the answer against Cleave. Sure, we still have the second life of this Tiamat, but is it going to be doing enough?
This is such a good turn order as well because he can press the S3 or he can press the S2, push the Mio wounds.
Yep.
And that's it. That Tiamat is not transforming because she's on 10 stacks, but she did not get the transform yet because she couldn't take an action.
Yep.
And the wound goes in. That's the end of that Tiamat right there. The only one here that actually has Soul Ward is only the Veronica.
Yeah, the Veronica's sitting at that Soul Ward, and this is so well calculated, so well played. And actually, if we're looking at this match, Mad Life is playing this match, whereas Chad is not playing the match at all. He's not taking the turns. He had one chance to press the skill, and outside of that, he's frozen, he's stunned, he's pushed back. He's just not moving.
Not moving at all, and he's just taking the team out one by one. The Veronica's just sitting there frozen with Soul Ward, not doing anything. And Chad is just sitting here, letting the team figure things out here because he's just lost that. Mad Life bringing the team life, going to game 5 here.
So Mad Life is sitting at a double victory already so far today. He definitely has to hope that his team can bring it back so they can make it all the way to the finals.
Yeah, that's what I am, looking at right now because sure, you can ban the Messiah, I still have Yellow. That is what Mad Life is saying. Take my units away. I don't care. I'm cleaving you anyway. Like it or not, we are pedal to the metal and we are going all the way with Cleave. Hydra Bank winning the game 2 thanks to Mad Life being the hardest carry in the entire Hydra Bank at the moment. And that was thrilling to watch. We don't see a whole lot of aggro, and Mad Life just goes, I am going to be the trend breaker here. You all can play with your nice little safe routes. I'm not going safe. deal with this.
Yeah, that's also one of those interesting things because, like, oh, we gotta take care of the attack buff in Tsuki. Oh, we gotta take care of the Messiah in the damage. But the Nahor is also doing so much work. And the big question right now is, which players are they going to send in for their 5th round?
Look, I'm pretty sure if we read the format correctly, everyone has to play once, then your game 4 and your game 5, you can send in whoever you want.
So would you just send back
I think you might just get a Mad Life game again, I think, because Mad Life is just going, I just saw your entire team. You have no answers to me. You guys are about to get wrecked.
But that is also the ultimate carry, the ultimate support. That is what they would like to call back in League of Legends, 1v9ing your whole team. Because your 2 allies lost.
Yeah.
You won your 1 round to keep you in the game. You win another round. And then do you get to play another round? Is that how this is going to work right now? Because that will be absolutely insane. And also, if that is the case, and he brings it all the way back, he absolutely won. In this case, not 1v9, it be 1v6.
Oh my goodness,
sir.
we do get another Mad Life game.
We have Mad Life sitting in that 5th position. The man brings the hype, the man brings everything, so absolutely stellar to see. And in this case, are we gonna go for trauma banning? And trauma banning in this case is called Nahor.
Oh, that Nahor has done so much work. They realized banning the DPS, oh, we actually do get a Nahor ban. They realized banning the DPS is not an option here because you ban Messiah, I take Yeli. You ban Yeli, I take Messiah. You are just not going to win here. So they decided, you know what, we'll ban the Nahor, see what happens here. Mad Life now going in with the Plume and Freya. Chad stealing units there.
Yeah, that's also one of those interesting things. Stealing units always feels like, oh, what you play, I can also play. But then again, your enemy might be playing it a lot better. Is that Mio actually super fast? Or is that Freya faster? Freya's actually not on Bulwark. So if the Freya was on board, it would have been 100% faster. But we have seen already the Nahor was on the fastest set. It way outspeed the Freya. So the big question is, this Mio, how fast can it be? But we also once again see that Sword 7 being locked in on that Messiah on the 3. This time around, no Nahor for stuns and also no Mio for stuns. So the Sword 7, it might be less on damage, but we're gonna go in full damage.
It looks like we're going in full damage and he's just gonna go. The Sword 7 is just there for stats, doesn't matter. But you can also just go in and do a whole ton of damage with just a bunch of DPSs. Because we still have the Plume here for defense break.
Yeah, I actually do like the Tsuki a lot more because you already have your Messiah. Your Messiah guaranteed makes it into the field. If you start adding more damage, you're very open to that Mio. You already say, I have to ban off this Mio. So I'm liking this Tsukio Me a lot more on the position. Sure, you might already think like, my Freya already had the attack buff. Do I really still want to go for the Tsuki? But since you're speed contesting against the Mio, maybe you need both of them.
Yeah, look, what Chad is pulling out right now is a very classic Season 0 anti-cleave answer with Linglor, Sanya, Tiamat on 3 with the fresh new addition of the Aya, but we are taking the Fushu instead.
Yeah, and also I totally expected the Biotin. This is actually one of those comps I really like to run myself. Messiah on the 3, getting the Tsuki in there, getting the Biotin in there. You can have a potential double skill 3 from the Messiah in just a few turns coming in. It does an insane amount of damage. There's only a few things you have to be really scared of. The Fuchu getting her skills off, absolutely devastating. But then again, you also still have to be careful with this Mio. Can this Mio actually be faster than your speed contesting units?
Yeah, look, if you are a typical cleaver, I think you just ban the fastest unit on the entire team here, right?
Yeah, I definitely do think you have to go for that. But again, I have a lot of interactions with both the Aya and the Fusho, and they are very difficult to go for this team. So, but we're actually gonna remove both fastest potential units on the field on both sides. So let's see if we can get a full Messiah cleave off. Is this fast enough?
I mean, this Freya was not on Bulwark, so it's not really the fastest, but the reason it was banned is because of the turn meter manipulation here. The Tsukiyomi is going to put up the buffs, pushing the team forward. The Plume is going to put debuffs, pushing the team back. And if you keep getting pushed back, that Reaper Steps is not doing anything for you.
Yeah, let's see what we can do on these hits right here. We have
one push.
Ooh, two.
Oh, whoa. That's not good. The Iron needed to push there.
Yep. Do we keep any of the defense breaks? Actually, the defense breaks don't matter too much. You have an ignored defense on this Messiah, but with this, you're gonna make your Messiah move. With the speed buff, I'm not sure if the speed buff tick advantage might give Biotin enough speed to overspeed this Aya. That is what you have to look for, but it doesn't happen in this skill. Just that ignore defense on an Aya, 2 quill stacks, no defense break. Are we looking at enough damage? That is the big question. Messiah, skill 3, bring it in. How much damage are we gonna do?
I am really curious to see how much damage a Sword 7 Messiah can do without any units control. Significantly lower as we expected.
Yeah, significantly lower, but at least has the invisibility up right now, so it is protected a little bit. But this is the moment where the Future starts getting skills off, and this is the moment where it gets very difficult, because this shield is so hard to break. We're gonna even add more shield with the Tiamat skill too. No, we're actually cutting in right now, but if you give the skill back to Messiah, Messiah is not gonna kill on this.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to kill, but you can definitely break the shield, but everything is going to get healed. He says, yeah, I'm just going to give it to him anyway. It doesn't matter. Let's just use the attack buff that we have at the moment, see what we can do here, and then grind our way down.
Oh,
we have the Aya about to drop, though.
Yeah, we definitely have to go for more shields over here. Plume also was sitting on a Codex of Magic, so everything is looking at super low HP. If you play this smart right now, Suki can boost the Biotin. Biotin can once again boost the Messiah itself. So.
No.
Ooh, are we gonna get there though?
The Tiamat is going to move right now.
Is this going to be enough damage on the Biotin? No, Biotin, everything survives.
Biotin is super tanky.
Oh, wait, there's no Codex of Magic on these units. I expected, I'm so used to playing this myself, and then both the Tsukiyomi and the Biotin are looking at Code of Magic.
And we have the Bramble proccing now, and this is where it does not look good for cleavers. We all know what happens here.
Yeah, exactly as I mentioned. Like, if you had Codex of Magic on the Tsuki, you give the Tsuki to the Biotin, Codex of Magic on the Biotin, you give the S2 once again back to the Messiah, you would have cleared the whole battlefield. But Alicorns don't make that same work.
But we still have the Biotin bringing back everything because of her Underworld Bloom, but at the very wrong time.
Yeah, that's the worst timing out there. So Madlife almost went for the solo reverse sweep, but in this case, just not good enough. We have a very well placed draft here by Chat, knowing exactly what was coming and having all the answers against that.
Yeah, look, I did say earlier, Chad is, you know, the guy that plays aggro. He understands what counters the entire double pump strategy, because he also probably abuses it himself. And so he just went with the Season 0 draft. And knowing the fact that Messiah is on Sword 7, you needed CC to do significant amount of damage. And there was no CC whatsoever. So there you have it. That's all she wrote.
Yeah, that is all she wrote. But then again, a lot of commiseration to the Korean team, in particular Madlife, almost bringing it back all the way and giving us the most hype matches. He gives us the sad emoji, but he has nothing to be sad about. Well, except making it to the next round. But he played absolutely out of his mind, and he played very, very well.
That is insane. The way Madlife played shows that if you just stick to one playstyle, you know that it's going to work. You just have to go with it. Chad knew that Nahor getting banned was the answer to all of his problems, because bringing in the Reaper Steps, thinking that that was enough to stop the Nahor, we all now know that that's not it. That is not it.
Nahor was doing so well, and it's also, I think the only good thing that counters Nahor is having multiple bulwarks, because then you have to go for the skill 2, which is maybe the not best of rotation, but also a Nahor on a Codex of Magic. If you force something that's on Codex of Magic into the skill 2, their skill 3 doesn't have the double turn, or you cannot do the double skill 3. And that is mostly what you want to do with the Codex of Magic. You want to go for a double skill 3. It's the same with an Oboe. If you start with an S2, you kind of want to double S3. You don't really want to double S2, because the second S2 is useless. So definitely very well played by also banning that out. In this case, the Messiah couldn't make it work. But once again, if there was double Kodak on those two buffers, the Biotin and the Tsukiyomi, I think he could have made it. But then again, maybe he did not have those units or those shells in his draft. We also do see the victory here on the screen. We have Fantasy Club winning against Hydra Bank.
Yeah, and I understand the entire idea on why he went with the Alicorn on Beyonce and Tsukiyomi, because in the off chance he loses the draft, he gets CC, at least he gets to still do his thing, you know? And it's still one of those things you have to, you are trying to prepare for too many things at once. But let's take a look at all of those hype moments in the highlights. And we are back. And you know the drill. We are going to have an interview with the winning team, which is the Fantasy Club led by Tamias and having the teammates of Brett and Ultimate Chat Gamer Chad. How's it going, Tamias? How are you feeling?
Hey, feeling a bit nervous. That was a very, very close one. I mean, I didn't expect to be cleaved so hard, but there we go. Mad Life absolutely played insanely well. Yeah, it was a very close match.
Yeah, Mad Life almost reverse sweeping the entire thing. I was a bit scared for a moment. And choosing, Chad to go in to fight Mad Life, was that your decision? Because we all know that Chad is a bit of an aggro player himself, so he probably knows the ins and outs on how to counter it, right?
Yep, absolutely. If it's anyone else that's going to beat a turn 1 player, it has to be the best turn 1 player I know. And Chad once again proves himself to be able to knows the in and outs of how to counter turn 1s.
Yeah, 100%. I think that if any game was dropped earlier on, you guys were in a lot of trouble, to be honest. But congratulations on the win, man. Do you have any questions to say?
Yeah, it's definitely curious to see. Like, I guess you guys prepared against the cleave with first banning the Tsukiyomi that we saw, then also seeing like, oh wait, the Nahor was the issue. But there are so many issues actually to the cleave. So would you say that cleave still has a very strong presence in the meta? Because if we look at the leaderboards, we barely see any cleave players. But do you think that Mad Life actually showed something to the global side that, hey, this actually can still work with the right draft right there?
Yeah, for sure. I would say Cleave is definitely not dead, even though it's harder to play into T2. But if you come prepared, like Mad Life was, having all of the options in the toolkits, you can definitely catch people off guard. I mean, we essentially, like Sturby said, almost got reverse swept, and we were all in the voice call trying to figure out, what do we do? We banned the Tsuki, then we banned the Messiah, and turns out we had to take the Nahor, steal the meal, and not everyone can do that. So, hey, if you're a turn 1 player, your dream is not dead.
Yeah, 100%. You guys thought that the Nahor, the meal, was not the issue here because of all the Reaper Steps lane, the Reaper Steps Aya. But turns out it's not the case. That's still so much problem with just the Nahor freezing your entire team twice and just doing way too much work on you.
One more question I have. What do you think about the Sword 7 on the Messiah? Would you say that that is something that you might utilize yourself as well? Or do you still rather go to like something that we're commonly using, either a Revelation or a Count?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we usually see Rev or Count for that huge burst, but CC Cleave, we see that, wow, Messiah is just doing so much damage. I think regardless of the shell choice, Messiah definitely is still a very, very strong unit. I mean, he is the king of all, right? So I think definitely Sword 7 opened our eyes to some more options, but it's always good to see more loadouts for different units.
Absolutely, very well said. Well, thank you very much, and good luck on preparing against your next opponents, because you're playing actually the other global team.
That's right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tamias. I'll see you in the finals.
Cheers. Thank you.
And there you have it. We knew that Chad was going to be the aggro player, and the only way you're going to fight an aggro player on the other side is to be an aggro player yourself and understand what is the problem, what is the actual answers, and we heard it, ban the Nahor, steal the Mio.
Yeah. Well, definitely steal the Mio. At first I was like, oh, you're stealing something. Is that actually going to work? But since the Mio became the force ban because of the speed contest between the two players, because he wasn't necessarily sure. Like, if you're a speed player yourself, you have to spread out your speed. But if the enemy only has one unit to be gearing up with speed, it's going to be faster than your spread out comp. And that was very well one of those things like, I don't really want to be playing against a bunch of things, but I have to keep in mind that he could be faster.
Yeah, 100%. You can see on the brackets here, we have Labos Live and Fantasy Cup playing out the finals. Two global servers battling it out to be the Global Fest tournament champion. Who is going to win this time? Because I clearly lost my bet.
Yeah, you clearly lost the bet, but I still have my bet on the team of Sean B. So let's actually see if they can make it all the way, because in the end, we have some fearless players on both sides. They're super strong players. Multiple people of EWS, but we're gonna find all of that out right after this break.
Catch you soon. And we are back for the finals of the Ethereum Global Fest tournament. Now, before we even go any further, we were talking about their credentials. Let's take a look at the team of Labels Life and Fantasy Club. We have a good amount of people with some credentials here, so let's take a look here. We have on Labels Life, Ronaldo and Borg, one of them being the Weekly Cup tournament runner-up. And we have a semi-finals for another Weekly Cup as well for Ronaldo and Borg.
Yeah, so they definitely have been playing a lot of these finals, but also definitely something you have to keep in mind. There is still that redemption code right there with the GFT 2025. Make sure you do lock that in to get your 3 anima prototypes right there. But looking once again at the other team, we have the Fantasy Club. We got Tomias making it to the top 8 of the Fusion Cup all the way back in January. Really knows the in and outs of the game. In the end, the Hyperlink Cup champion in the form of Brad. But so far, is actually not sitting on a single victory just yet individually. His team made him all the way go this distance so far, but he has to redeem himself to actually get a victory on the board. And then we also have Chad making it to the weekly tournament 10 top 8. However, I would actually say Chad is performing the best from the Tomias team, is performing the best from the Fantasy Club right now. So actually, all of those acolytes kind of go out of the window right there. This is a clean sweep. And actually something interesting that was talked about Sean B. Sean B is like, oh, the other team has a Brad in there, right? Yeah. Maybe he was just lucky, in his own words, I quote, maybe he was just lucky because he never faced me yet. Those are Sean B's words. Wouldn't it be absolutely amazing if we get a match of Sean B against Brad? But the big issue is, most of the time, Sean B plays in the 3rd position. Yesterday, Brad was going first. Today, Brad was going last. Can we get a match of Sean B against Brad? That's what we would like to see.
I think that would be absolutely hilarious to see, because Sean B has been calling for it. He even called it out. And if we actually do get one like that, where they just link up because both teams decide, all right, I'm going to go first this time, I'm going to go first this time, and they both look at each other and be like, uh-oh, that would be really funny.
That would be really funny, but I definitely do think it's more likely to see that in a match 3, because so far in all of the matches that we have seen from the team of Sean B always plays 3rd. We haven't seen him play first yet at all, so I definitely can expect it in a match 3. But then again, who would you like to send out first? Do you just send in Chad again first? Because that so far has been the winning factor for the team that we see here on the Scream Fantasy Club.
Yeah, if Chad goes first, usually he takes the win. Then, you know, the team feels a bit more comfortable, a bit more relaxed, and they can focus a little bit more and be like, all right, we just got to win 2 more, boys. We just got to win 2 more. On Sean B's side, Sean B is more, we will let, you know, these top RTA players, they go in first. They go in first, and then I will just, you know, scoop us up and just win it all from the back end. But if we do see Sean B going first, then maybe this time he's going, this is the finals. I want to take charge. I want to go in first.
Well, my expectations are, if we go back to the history, I would say Chad goes in first because he's on the winning momentum. Always keep your winning momentum. And on the other side, the Sean B team mostly does send in Bok as first player, Ronnie as second, Sean B as third. So if we're going by those, I do expect a Chad against a Bok first match. So let's see what we're going to be having with that.
And we are going to see, oh my god, we actually do get
a Sean B against Brad. And I think the moment Sean B saw this matchup himself, it's like, oh, that's the guy I kind of trash talk, right? Yeah, now you have to make your way worthwhile. And Brad does know what Sean B plays. I'm going to be expecting a Nahor pre-ban on that one.
Oh, it definitely is going to be a Nahor pre-ban. We saw a Nahor pre-ban already in the semifinals against, you know, Sean B. And we do see that. Aya is still in the pre-ban for Sean B. Sean B didn't change anything. But what is he going to pick here on 1?
Is he going to be the TMF player? We had the interview with him just earlier. Like, what if I become a TMF player myself? We're already playing against the Plume. The Aya is not there, so you're actually countering yourself with the Plume over there. Is still gonna go for a Mio. I don't think that we're gonna go into a Tiamat kind of style draft if you're starting off with a Mio on your first pick.
Well, he was really deciding on it. He took a good chunk of time to decide, what am I going to pick on 1? Because that first pick will really dictate how he's going to play. And he decides, I'm going to pick up the Lily and I'm going to pick up the Mio. So he's going in and preparing himself for the worst.
Yeah, let's see what Brad likes to take. I think Brad probably goes toward the boosters right now. I think I would say anything along the lines of a Tiamat. No, we're actually going to go back to the Lilith. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of Lilith plays thus far, but I think she is actually, in my opinion, one of the most underwhelming units I've seen all tournament.
Yeah, very underwhelming. Thanks to Aya, thanks to Linglord, thanks to Doki. And Sean B is looking at that Doki on Codex saying, I'm going to put Heinrich on 3. I'm going to block everything. Picking up a DPS in the form of Lilium. This is the first time Sean B has actually picked Lily in his drafts.
Yeah, also this Lilium is not on the Taikian that we have seen earlier. This is one on the Void, on the Law of Silence. So therefore, it's going to be a little bit more protected against AoEs. However, or not the AoEs, but it's going to be just also simply stripped off by a Plume. So it's one of those things doesn't work that well. We also what's going to have Born, and this Born is actually on a Tiger Yin.
This Born is on a Tiger Yin. And we are picking up the Linglo on Alucon because an Alucon will always cleanse off the stuff and then Linglo can do her thing immediately. But wow, okay, this is a very interesting draft from Sean B. He's playing aggressive, but he's not playing the full CC setup.
Yeah, the thing is that I'm not too sure about is if the Mio moves in front of the Heinrich right now, in that case, I see 2, even 3 potential bulwark users right there, because the Born on the Tiger can still be bulwark. So let's see how many bulwarks there are and how much the Heinrich can do against that.
I'm very curious. There is no Tiamat here.
There is no Tiamat over here. Also, we're looking at 3 out of 4 units on that bulwark. So if you boost up the Heinrich right now, does go for a boost on the Heinrich. Is a little bit of a waste of a twin trick maybe, but let's see how much this Heinrich can do in damage. But I think it's going to be nullified very soon with the Doki moving and the Linglo.
This is very important because the bot block is on. This is a Codex Doki, so he's not going to get any backup stacks. She's not going to get any data stream. And this is a lot of damage. Oh my god.
Tiger Yin is just deleting 45% of the HP and then decides to delete nearly all of Sean B. Sean B, you were saying that he hasn't played against you yet, that it would have maybe a factor of luck, but thus for your draft is leaving the battlefield very fast right now.
And that is just going to pop everything down. The Linglo is coming in just to, you know, add insult to injury, heal back up. A low HP Lilium. What can that do, though?
I think in this position, not that much. I would assume, knowing Brad very well on what kind of style he likes, we have Bloodbath on every single unit. Actually, the Toki Doki is not looking at Bloodbath, but it's also not looking dead just yet. And Sean B knows he ain't gonna come back from this one.
Yeah, and oh, so much for all that trash talk, huh? Well, you finally found Brad in not ladder, but in an actual tournament, and you know, that was quick work out of you.
That was definitely very quick work right there, Mr. Sean B. So well, let's see how that works out. Your team is on a 0-1. We have a victory on the side of Fantasy Club sitting right there. Definitely their comfortable spot. Brett didn't take a victory just yet in his previous 2 matches. Did pick up the victory for the team right now. And now we have Chad and Tobias having to take that in for the team. Or can we see Bok and Ronnie do all the work, all the heavy lifting for the man Sean B himself?
Yep. Now, we all know that Bok, Ronnie, and Chad, they play on ladder a lot, so they know their drafts. Can they adapt? That is the real question here. Now, with the one in the back for, you know, the Fantasy Club, that is all well and good, but you cannot count it over yet. We saw that in the Korean team. They were down 2 points, and then they were very close to reverse sweeping. So, winning the first match doesn't really mean you have secured the win. It just means that you have some leeway right now. And both players that are left in, you know, Label's life is very, very competent and very, very good at drafting as well.
Yeah, so let's see which one goes in. I would give the assumption still back to Bok, what we normally see on the very first round. Sean B is like, guys, I'll start it off strong this time around. No, okay, never mind. Guys, can you maybe pick it up from me? Let's see.
That just sounds like Sean B to me, to be honest.
That sounds very Sean B. I've been drafting RTA with him before on different games, and he's like, Sean B, I think you should lock in that. It's like, guys, trust me on this one. And then you have that Nahor coming in. It's like, okay, yeah, don't listen to me.
And now, let's see what will happen here. Who is he going to throw in? Maybe he might just throw it at Ronnie first and keep Bok for last. Maybe it's just a full, you know, reverse on the lineups that he usually likes to do. Because Ronnie always plays second anyway, right?
Yep, yeah, definitely could be Ronnie. But then on the other side, do we get Tomias getting in with his match? Tomias came from a lose last round, I think.
Yeah, he got cleave real bad by Mad Life.
Yeah, true. So he's definitely not gonna be playing the cleave right now, because I don't think Ronnie nor Bok really has like a cleave potential.
Oh no, Bok actually does he does play that from time to time, but in a very different way. And usually you see it in the form of Born. And we saw Brett use Born earlier without using the Tiamat instead, and that Born just absolutely demolished the team, man. And you can see in the matchup, we have Bok against Tomias. So Bok's going second and Ronnie's going last this time.
Yeah, let's see what we're going to be doing for pre-bans in this case, because that could still go either way. I definitely would like to see Bok or Tomias also maybe pick up a little bit of cleave. We have seen some Concardi before. Definitely the unit that is also, or like the Chameleon sitting on the shoulder of Bok. He loves that unit. And Tomias does know that.
Yep.
It's pretty bad.
immediately says, nope, you can go to jail. And there is where it is. You can't play with it. And how is Bok going to adapt to it? I think he's fine adapting to it. He's played so many games without his Kokardi already, because when the Kokardi comes out, it's like the Messiah situation. And Bok picking up the full shield. Now he's deciding what he wants to lock in, because Tamias has locked in the Plume and the Holden. What is he going to do here?
Is he going to go for the combination of the Tiamat and then locking in an Aya on 3? So you definitely have the Aya plus a Tiamat. No, we're actually going to go for Veronica on 3. Does he lock it in? Does not.
Oh, this is trauma drafting, because Tamias has always been banning Veronica. And now he's forced to ban the Kokardi, and he just went, I'm going to take the Veronica on 3. You have to deal with this.
Yeah, you can't pre-ban it, or you did not pre-ban it. In this case, you cannot post-ban it, so you have to fight against it. So Tamias is probably listening to his teammates right now. It's like, okay, how do I deal with this again? Because normally I don't.
Yeah, and you know, usually if you see a draft like what Bok has, you will see a full shield into a Tiamat Rahu. But this is a Veronica. It is on purpose. It has to be on purpose. So now that gives the opportunity for Tamias to pick up the Rahu here, giving him the lock on the Plume Rahu combo. But what's he going to pick on 4 here? Because right now there's no CC, so picking Aya doesn't really make a lot of sense. So he decides to go with a different tempo route, which is Lily.
Yeah, Lily is definitely showcasing a lot of momentum. We have the Plume for lowering the speeds on the enemy side. We have the Lily for upping the speeds on your side, giving a lot of turn to potentially the Rahu or the Holden. Most likely the Holden where you place that twin trick. But you have to keep in mind, we're still looking at a sustaining game. Bok can add in 2 more sustainers on that top side, adding a Ling low right there. Do you also maybe want to go back to an Aya, or do you rather want to go for something more damage side? Because if you go for another sustainer right now, you're probably losing your Tiamat.
Well, if you go for it, yeah, that's 100% the case. But you can also go for some form of CC here, where you get your tempo off, you know, controlling your unit, or just outright just trying to do damage and just get them off the board.
I'm not too sure about the Lilium over here.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine because the Tamias team does not have any healers right now.
It is very true that it doesn't have any healers, but then again, Lilium is also a counter into healers where you lower the HP. So I'm not too sure about that. Also, there's still a Plume sitting on the enemy side, removing that Void. We also have a Born, so definitely Tamias is simply saying, I'm not going to be playing any healers. I have 2 Artisans that are healing for me. I have an Amber that's healing for me. The Shells are healing for me. Outside of that, we're going full damage and kind of still bruising on high HP, but damage style.
Yeah, and the tempo you have here on Tamias is through the Plume's push on her passive and the Lily just giving Twin Trick to whichever unit she decides. Should take more turns than usual. On Bok's side, we have full shield, you know, giving that healing, that turn meter push. The Tiamat doing the damage shed. The Veronica giving the Soul Ward, giving, you know, all of that protection, the turn meter push. The HP shaving, which is very important and crucial here because Tamias does not have any healing. So the second that S2 goes off on that Veronica, it's sticking.
Yeah, that's definitely there. But first off, we're starting off with a Dark Moon going into that Lilium. That also does mean that you have the weakness sitting there for longer.
All right, and let's see what is going to happen here. The Veronica going in. They're probably going to put up the shield right now just to give that extra, you know, layer of defense. Or he can just straight up just go and try and steal the immunity and miss. And now that Lilium is just going out the window.
Yeah, the Lilium, I was already questioning it because it's definitely squishy.
Whoa, it survived?
Very squishy though, but yeah, 1 HP is still enough HP to survive. But from this point on, is it going to be enough? Because Rahul is also moving pretty soon. But first we have this Holden moving. Holden also coming in with the skill 3, which is simply taking out units. And I felt like there was too little protection for this Lilium, and it does actually show. So all eyes are on this Tiamat right now.
And there we go, 1 S2 getting out of the way. Now full shield. Now this is where the real game starts, like I said before. Is this enough? That's the real question here. That shield, is that enough to hold the Veronica in check?
Yeah, if the Veronica does survive this hit right now, can she actually do it?
She does survive. The shield's gone, but the healing and the turn meter push No.
The ref, Rahul, was not sleeping on the job, simply taking out this Veronica. Veronica had no chance to use a skill 2 over there. If she could have done a skill 2, it would have been a lot less work for the Tiamat to try to take out units. But now it's sitting at a lot of work to simply take out.
This is not over, by the way, because that Tiamat with the Fushu is still a hefty combo. She is on 8 stacks, 10 stacks, going in, and one massive S3 coming out right now. That's one down. Now every hit that is going to be done by the team is going to be that's a lot of shoot. That's a lot of shoot.
Insane massive shield. And I want to look, that's
25k.
That's a 25.8k shield. That is pretty much the full HP of that Lilium. That is more than the full HP of that Lilium. That is absolutely insane. And Tiamat, I don't think a Tiamat with the current state of HP that she's having can actually go through that.
Unless it Brambles non-stop.
Unless
it Brambles non-stop. We can't sleep on that.
We need a lot of Brambles coming in over here. And actually, we see that Tamias is scared of that Bramble. This is an AoE skill, so you definitely have to.
Yeah, because the Plume will always have to gamble it already. Okay, okay.
Defense down.
And then one more hit going in right now. Counter. Rahul going in with the Artisan buffed defense. How much damage is that going to do to the Tiamat? Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot, but the defense down got landed. Now what is happening with the Born here? The Born goes in. Okay, Rahul sleeping.
We have someone, yeah, we have the Rahul sleeping, but on the other side,
Rahul still sleeping. That's not good.
We have another unit sleeping, and that is the Bramble of this Tiamat. If the Tiamat actually went for any Brambles over here, if we get a Bramble...
No Brambles. No Brambles, no assist from Rahul. Bang!
Ooh, still a lot of damage, taking out that Horn on one more turn for this Fusho. Trying to get a little bit work in here as well. But we still have good damage in.
You see, every time that Fushu gets hit, that Tiamat gets pushed out, that Tiamat's just getting infinite amount of turns. But this is going to be a lot of damage. A lot of damage! Because 2 units are down. The Born can do so much damage because the lesser the units are on the board, the more damage he does. And we are seeing Borns now in this finals.
Yeah, and actually, once again, a victory going to the team of Tamias. Tamias getting a very strong victory himself. And I would definitely say that Lilium draft, it felt a little bit too squishy. You had the Void in there, sure, but there were so many potential for strip. The Plume was there. We also had the potential for the Born in there for the strip. And all of the AoEs just simply took her out, and it worked so well. Whereas if you had a little bit more of a sustaining comp, at least you didn't fight a 3 against 4 right from the get-go.
Yeah, and I think that the whole Lilium play was literally to be paired with the Lily, push the Lilium forward, do as much damage as you can before she goes down. Then, you know, your Tiamat cleans up. They saw through that whole scheme. They got rid of the Lily, and now that Tiamat is just a sitting duck into a Plume that is just going to strip your Void.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a matchup between Ronnie and Chad. So let's see what the 2 gentlemen can bring in this final match, because we have a team sitting at match points, and they have 3 of them. And that is always a very comfortable spot to sit in, because this is also where you could say it's like, oh, we can lose one, but then we can send in our best player. And again, and again, and again.
Yep, this is where everything lies on Ronaldo to win right now against Chad. And we know that Chad is an aggro player, but he has also proven himself that he can play standard very well too.
Yeah, so let's see what these 2 gentlemen can bring this time around. I definitely want to see, once again, a Kakardi.
I do want to see Kakardi, but you know what? Now that I think about it, if that Lilium was not on Law of Silence, but on Amber, then we have a game talking here, because you can kill her, that's fine. I'm coming back, I'm pressing S3 at least once. But we didn't get to see that, unfortunately. And now we have to see what can Ronnie do against Chad here. We see that the Plume is pre-banned, the Ling Luo is pre-banned.
That's the first time Ling Luo pre-banned thus far. I haven't seen a Ling Luo pre-ban at all. But first picks, very comfortable picks throughout. Also, to mention the Veronica. Tamias won against his biggest nemesis. He won against the Veronica.
He did. And to talk about the Ling Luo pre-ban, now I have no idea why Chad did this, but from my assessment on why I used to do it back in Season 1, that was my pre-ban. And the reason is, there is Sanya, there is Fushu, and there is Ling Luo. If you ban one, and if you don't take the other, I can take both. You have no healing, and I will just out-heal you. I don't know if that is the play that Chad is trying to go with, because banning a Ling Luo means that you can play CC quite comfortably too.
Yeah, let's see what he wants to go for. It's definitely a lot of tempo on the side of Jet once again. Not locking in any healer. And actually, this team is really liking the no healer. We're just going to go in full damage and just see how it goes from there. Once again, Lilith being picked up is working very well against a no cleansing team that you do see on the opposite side.
Yep, and he's having the Lily on Ban Protect, meaning that he can play a Lily draft right now. And that's the draft that he's planning to go with, because he can give the Twin Trick to the Holden, he can use the assist of the Rahu, or he can just give the Twin Trick to the Veronica, cycle the living hell out of her, constantly pressing S2, 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 S2. But we see Ronnie going with the Lilith, Doki, and he's thinking about the Mio because the bottom team is very susceptible to CC right now.
It is very susceptible to CC, except for Veronica. Veronica is still one of those factors, like, okay, the enemy doesn't have that many cleanses, but the immunity is so strong because you cannot land any of your debuffs. And also locking in an IM5 immediately removed. But my eyes are on this Veronica. If she takes turns at the right moment to spread those immunities, it is still very hard for a Mio or a Lift to get any skills off.
Yep, and we can see the sustain on Ronnie has been taken out. The CC cleanser mitigator, whatever you want to call that, is taken out as well. And so we are playing a very fast bruiser game here. Chat just going in and saying, I'm just going to do as much damage to you. You have a, a Codex Doki Doki that is not faster than me because it's probably on Bulwark Bloodbath. And I'm just going to start hacking away at your HP with Veronica here.
Yeah, Veronica's just going for those buff steals. Can we go for the buff steal? We go for the buff steal and we go for it. And is this also a perfect rotation where all of the enemy moves one by one? Yes, we have that. We have the Mio move, we have the Doki move, we have the Lilith move. All of them are taking pretty much complete useless turns. Sure, you can boost up everyone again, but wait, did you boost up that much that it's taking another useless?
That is an insane amount of boosting right there.
I called it out during the draft as well. It's like, okay, sure, you might be, it's like, oh yeah, they don't have cleanses, but the immunity, there's so many useless turns coming in from this whole team right now.
All right, something was resisted. Something was resisted. I want to know what the resist was here. So I'm going to check the buffs really quickly. It was the skills, in fact, that was resisted. So only the turn meter pushback from the Holden. And you can see that they are gunning down that Lilith something chronic, because if that Lilith starts kicking off, that's the end.
Yeah, that's absolutely the end right there. But I think...
And it's low enough to get the S2 off. Is it enough? It's almost.
Not enough. That's one of those things that's not working out too well just yet, because now the other team can take over.
No, I think you have to press the S. You have to press S3 here. You gotta try to seize the initiative right here now.
Yeah, from here, it's definitely a Mio could still go for a lot of potential, but there's something that you always have to be careful of, and those are counters. So we talked about it before. The freeze of Mio is not a guaranteed. It is an 80% by max, even if you have a lot more accuracy than your enemy team. This is dangerous as well because of the counters.
Okay. Now you get to do your thing, but the Holden is going to counterattack you. That is a problem. Yeah, that can be a problem. You have to survive the Holden S1 counter attack. And if you do, then you might be able to seize the game, because Mio is right behind her, just tracking right behind her. Ooh. Oh, decides to just hold off. I mean, what's the point in doing that? Okay, maybe because he wasn't full freeze, but everyone just got out of the freeze, so...
Yeah, full freeze, but the next turn you kind of have the exact same issue again, where you just simply don't want to be doing your skill.
Maybe he just wants to get enough healing off the healing over time, so now he can at least tank a Holden S1, and if he's unlucky, then he will just have to deal with it and just take the Rahu Bramble as well.
I definitely do think you have to send the CC right now.
Because he just reset the Mio, so he could be back in that very same situation too.
Yeah, he's actually going to go for it. Yeah, we actually got to go for another rotation where we could go for the S2. Once again, get nearly everything except the Rahu in this case, but we could be outspeeding that Rahu.
Bang. One hit. You see? That's the scary part. That is the scary part.
That is absolutely the scary part, but once again, we are in the back. We're back. We keep rotating back to this. Like,
I think this is the time. You have no choice.
Yeah, you don't have any more Mios, and the Mio S2 has been very consistent thus far. You definitely have to send it right now. And the big question is, could you have sent it all along earlier on? That is going to be the real big question.
I think waiting one turn was correct to get the healing over time, but waiting 3 turns was probably not right. Then there you go. Just press that. tanks one. Okay, does not get the counter attack. Now, where is he going to send this S2 before we say goodbye to this Lilith?
I think you have to send it on the Holden, because if you send it on the Holden, you have less chance. I think it was resisted on the Holden, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yeah, but it does get your HP pretty low. And he's procced the Veronica, and the Mio is now going to steal all the turn meter right now, giving the Tiamat the next turn to press S3.
Yeah, he actually did do it on the Holden, therefore the bomb is gone from the Holden, but the bomb stun actually was resisted, so that's really huge.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Yeah, so every time you have to hit into this Holden, actually takes down by the Tiamat.
All right. Now we have a game in our hands because you have no way of cleansing the Graceful Mischief. You have to survive this long enough for the bombs to go off, and that will buy you a turn.
It will buy you a turn, but there's one thing that's very scary looking on this field right now, and that is that Rahul sitting on the top right. Can he do enough damage? Because he's still sitting at a good chunk.
And this is also going to be the time where the Artisan is going to proc here.
Yep, the Artisan is going to proc. I think you just simply go for skill 3. Hopefully reset something. No, actually, it's going to go for Twin Trick once again.
Get the HP shave, and the Mio is going to drop. Very likely going to drop here.
Yeah, skill 2 Mio's mostly on a lot of effect resistance.
There
it does take it out. That is going to be a massive shield. That is a really massive shield. I think we're looking at a good... Oh, it's just a tanky shield. Well, the Ether effect is locking in a little bit further, but also this Tiamat is looking at very low HP at this moment. We have those shields just being mitigated by this, or the damage being mitigated by this shield of the Artisan.
I think he should have just pressed the S2 the one turn earlier too, because there was no reason to do damage to that shield. Get the healing overtime in. Your real win con here is just letting that shield pop. Everything gets stunned. Now you can cycle back in.
The big issue is, I think we're way too many turns off this Amber to be procced again. So the HP on this Tiamat is looking so low. Any damage you deal to this Doki Doki is going to be spread to this Tiamat as well. Whereas just a simple hit from a Rahul skill 1 will probably take it out.
Yeah, we have to get rid of that Lily right now anyway. But because that Lily is going to move, it's going to, you know, press the S3, reset stuff.
Yeah, I definitely do think that we have to go for an S3 over here. Veronica, another S2 in. No, we're actually going to be boosting the Veronica once again. Oh, still has all of the skills.
Oh, and that is GG. Clean sweep as predicted by Tamias, and we have our champions being the Fantasy Club led by Tamias, having the teammates of Brett and Chad.
Yeah, I definitely think like Chad was man of the day, I would say, with bringing it all the way to Mad Life there, back and forth. Also, Brett taking his victory in that final round just now. All three of them played absolutely well. And it's also so great to see Tamias actually winning a cup himself.
Yeah, after hosting so many, he's finally won one where he is, you know, playing an actual match. And it's refreshing. It's refreshing. And we have Brett obviously, you know, redeeming himself finally, getting that one win in at least, because he's gone 2 games and he's lost 2 games. But that's, you know, what the tournament is like, right? When you're playing on an account that you're not very familiar with, you have to rebuild everything. It's now a bit more balanced. And you're faced with someone called Mad Life. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, Mad Life played absolutely well. Like, sure, I would a lot of credit to Chad taking him down, but Mad Life, I love this play. So, but we see it here on the screen. Labor Life is sitting on 0, whereas Fantasy Club is sitting on 3. And that is exactly what Tamias wanted to see. 3-0s across the board. It did not work out in that previous match. It did not work out yesterday. Yesterday they had to go for a 3-1. Earlier today they had to go for a 3-2, but they made the finals look very simple with a 3-0.
Yep, and that's because, you know, they have played everyone from this, you know, team in Labor's Life. And the only real dark horse here was Sean B. Sean B had to do something. And unfortunately, that did not come to scratch. And we got, you know, the clean sweep 3-0. But at the end of the day, congratulations to Fantasy Club, led by Tamias and Brett and Chad being the team members.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see. But looking at all of those plays that we saw earlier for this match in the highlights.
And we are back. Now, of course, everyone wants to see the interview with Tamias once again. We said that we were going to see him in the finals. He said absolutely. And absolutely, it is going to be his interview. So this is going to be a good one. I am super excited to hear what he has to say. Welcome back to the interview, Tamias. Before you start, I want to, quote you on your trash talk. If it's anyone else that is not the other globals that would just pack it up, go home, and just don't worry about it. That's what you said, didn't you?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, coming into this, we knew that our toughest opponent is going to be the Global One team, and we didn't face them in the finals, and definitely we came very, very prepared. So yeah, we took it. We ended up taking it all.
Yep, and I want to argue that your hardest fight was Hydra Bank in the Korean team.
Yeah, we definitely was not expecting the CC Cleave and the Mad Life. Like I said in the previous interview, just had so many options. We weren't really prepared for the CC into the Messiah. So kudos to them, but we managed to snag that win at the end, and of course, winning the finals.
100%. And how did you feel when you were going in there? I know you were super prepared. You made it look so easy. Was it planned to get Brett in first to face Sean B?
No, we thought, we'll send Brett in because Brett has just honestly been the brains behind it all as well. So we're like, okay, Brett, if he goes in, win or lose, doesn't matter. He can then, of course, be helping us in the voice chat. But he ended up matching Sean B. We had a plan, ban, and yeah, that was it.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely worked out very well. So also congratulations from me to you. So how does it feel to win one of the cups rather than hosting the cups? Because sure, participating is cool, but winning is way cooler, right?
Yo, absolutely, yes. I finally know how the players feel when they win it all. No, it feels absolutely fantastic. And I just want to thank, obviously, my teammates, Brett and Chat, for being there. And also Shadi as well. His RT Discord has a lot of good information, so always check that out. Again, guys, we are from the Guild Scarlet, so everyone has been super, super helpful. Even the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat, I backread everything from yesterday's cast. It's so fun. And of course, you guys, the casters and XD for making all of this happen. So I'm super, super thankful. And it's been such a wonderful tournament. And I get to participate. So excellent.
Absolutely, very well. I think I have no more things to ask. Like you said everything already. So any final words you want to give shout out? Well, you kind of already did, but maybe some more?
No, that's it. I think I love the game. I absolutely love it. And I never played at such a high level myself. But sometimes you just need to take that step, find people that are really, really good at the game, chat with them, and hopefully you'll get there one day as well.
And on that topic, this is a very important question that we all want to ask him. Are you going to be participating in more tournaments rather than hosting?
Oh, sure, absolutely. You'll see me in the bottom ranks of the tournaments because this time I'll be by myself, but I'll definitely participate. I love the high of winning.
Yep, you finally tasted the high. It is such a dopamine hit, winning the entire thing. The adrenaline when you are, playing as a team, playing as a whole, and now finally winning it all. That relaxation, that relief, that sigh of relief. It's absolutely amazing. So once again, congratulations to Myers and your teammates. 100% well-deserved. You guys have proven that you guys are the Global Fest Tournament champions for 2025.
Awesome. It feels unreal.
Yeah, 100%. So, nope. Have you already done your parting words?
Yeah. And celebrate your victory and have a good time with your friends.
Thank you so much.
And there you have it. Tamias finally not hosting, but winning the entire thing with his teammates. We can't just say that Tamias won by himself. It was a team effort. This is a team tournament, 3v3, and Fantasy Club taking it all the way, as we can see in the brackets here. They first had to go off and fight the where are they? The 13th high school. And those were a European team, and they got out of it 3-1. Then they had to face probably their biggest adversary, Hydra Bank, nearly getting reverse sweep, but managed to clutch it out with Chad being a Chad. And at the end, the finals against Labor's Life, and Fantasy Club. A clean sweep 3-0. They were super prepared to fight against them. They made it look super easy. No Veronica's banned anymore. They used Veronica in-state and came out as the Global Fest Tournament 2025 champions.
Yeah, they absolutely played very well, especially in that last one. You also can see right there, preparation is key. They really figured out, it's like, okay, Ronnie, we know how he likes to play. Bok, we know how he likes to play. Sure, Shelby, we don't really know how he likes to play, but it worked out very well. Also, guys, final chance for you guys, GFT 2025. You can still claim your 3 animate prototype, and you should absolutely do that.
Yep, GFT 2025. That is the code. One last time, that is all you're gonna get. 3 Animus prototypes. Make sure you claim it. Get that 3 summons. Every summon counts in this game. Eventually, you're gonna get all the units. So make sure you have more chances at that, unit game.
Absolutely. And I think this is going to be the end for us. Guys, I want to thank everyone for watching. Also, Serbi, I want to thank a lot you for casting, and also the whole team, the production. You're not going to see it, but the studio we're sitting in, everything looks amazing. So I want to thank everyone. And I think this is going to be the end for us for today. But there's definitely going to be more Etheria Restart.
Yep, and I also want to thank everyone. Thank you, Seishizo, for being a fantastic co-host. I have been Sturby, and
I've been Seishizo.
Thank you so much for watching this Global Fest tournament. We will catch you in future tournaments, but until then, stay blessed, stay safe. Good night.